The livestream notification popped up on my phone while I was alphabetizing the horror section. The Wright sisters are alive, visiting our loser sister's dying bookstore. My hand stilled on a worn copy of Pet Sematary. Of course, Madison and Brittany had finally made good on their threat to expose my pathetic life to their combined 50,000 followers. I looked around my bookstore, midnight pages, taking in the dark wood shelves, the reading nooks with their antique lamps, the careful displays of first editions behind glass. To them, it was failure. To me, it was everything. The bell above my door chimed, and my sisters swept in like a designer hurricane, phones held high, their ring lights blazing in the afternoon dimness. "Okay, fam," Madison trilled to her screen. "We're here at our sister Elena's little shop." She said it like the word tasted bad. "Get ready to see how the other half lives." "And by other half," Brittany added, panning her camera across my carefully curated rare books section, "we mean the half that chose dusty old books over success. Look at this place, it's like a funeral home for literature." I stayed behind the counter, continuing to process a new shipment. After 3 years of this, I'd learned that reacting only made it worse. "Elena," Madison called out, her voice syrupy sweet for the camera, "come say hi to everyone, show them what failure looks like." I looked up, keeping my expression neutral. "I'm working. Customers don't appreciate being filmed without permission." "Customers?" Brittany laughed, swinging her camera around the seemingly empty store. "What customers? Do you see any customers, fam? This place is dead." The chat was scrolling rapidly on their screens. "OMG, so embarrassing. Why doesn't she just get a real job? Those shelves look like they're from 1800s LOL. For those just joining," Madison explained, settling onto one of my Victorian reading chairs without asking, "our older sister Elena here used to work at Mackenzie Publishing, senior editor position, 6 figures, corner office, the works. And then, Brittany picked up the story with relish. She quit, to open this, she gestured helplessly. "Bookstore," I supplied helpfully. "It's called a bookstore." "Look at her, thinking she's smart," Madison cackled. "Elena always thought she was better than us because she read books. Now look where reading got her, selling dusty paperbacks for $5. I bit back the urge to tell them that the dusty paperback in Brittany's hand was a signed first edition worth $3,000. They wouldn't believe me anyway. "The funniest part," Brittany continued, filming the photography section, "is that she thinks this place is special. Like, babe, Amazon exists. Nobody needs a physical bookstore in 2024. "Show them your apartment," Madison demanded. "Oh wait, you live above the store because you can't afford anything else." The chat was eating it up. "Poor Elena LMAOO. This is so sad. Imagine throwing away your career for this." I went back to unpacking, pulling out a special order, a rare Bulgarian translation of the stand that a customer had been searching for years. The joy on his face when he picked it up would be worth more than any corner office. "You know what the saddest part is?" Madison stood, doing a slow spin for her camera. "She actually thinks famous authors shop here. Yesterday she tried to tell me that Joyce Carol Oates bought a book last week." "She did," I said mildly. "Bought a first edition of Wise Blood. Paid cash." "Sure she did." Brittany rolled her eyes. "And I bet Taylor Swift comes in for romance novels." "No, but her assistant does. She likes historical fiction." They both laughed like I'd told the world's funniest joke. "Guys, she's delusional," Madison shrieked. "This is worse than we thought." "Tell them about last Christmas," Brittany prompted, knowing exactly where to stick the knife. "When you couldn't afford to come to Aspen with the family because you had to keep the store open." "I chose to keep the store open," I corrected. "Mrs. Chin counts on me for her weekly book club selections." "An old ladies' book club?" Madison was practically crying with laughter. She gave up Aspen for an old ladies' book club. "Look at this." Brittany had found my financial planning board, partially visible from behind the counter. "She's got a 5-year plan. For this dump, she actually thinks she'll still be here in 5 years. More like 5 months, Madison smirked. "Dad's betting you don't make it through winter." The bell chimed again. I looked up to greet the customer, then froze. He was tall, lanky, wearing a red Sox cap and glasses. He moved with the particular careful grace of someone trying not to be recognized, but I'd know that face anywhere. It had stared at me from hundreds of book jackets. "Excuse me," Stephen King said, approaching the counter. "Is this where I'm doing my secret signing?" The words hung in the air like a supernatural occurrence from one of his novels. My sisters hadn't noticed yet, too busy performing for their phones. "Secret signing," Madison mocked. "She probably tells herself that every day hoping." You must be Elena, Stephen King continued, pulling off his cap. Jim from Scribner told me you're the only bookseller he trusts with early releases. Said if I wanted to do something special for real readers, this was the place. The chat exploded first. I saw it happening in real time on Brittany's screen. Is that, OMG, Stephen fucking King? No way, no way, no way. Brittany turned, her phone shaking. Madison's jaw dropped, her livestream temporarily forgotten. I hope I'm not too early, he said, checking his watch. You said 4 o'clock for the signing? I brought my own pens. Learned that lesson after the Needful Things tour in '91. I found my voice, though professional calm was a struggle. You're right on time, Mr. King. I've got everything set up in the rare books room. Please, it's Steve. He looked around appreciatively. This place is exactly how Jim described it. A real bookstore. You can smell the stories. Then he noticed my sisters. Their phones still streaming. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you filming something? They were just leaving, I said firmly. Wait, Madison squeaked. You're actually Stephen King? He tilted his head. Last I checked, though my wife might argue I'm just Steve when I forget to take out the trash. But you're here, in Elena's store. Our sisters failed little. Failed? His eyebrows rose above his glasses. This is one of the last great independent bookstores in New England. Do you know how rare that is? How valuable? Elena's created something special here. Brittany's chat was going insane. The sisters are the losers. Elena is a queen. Imagine dissing Stephen King's favorite bookstore. Karma is real. But she gave up a real job, Madison protested weakly. Stephen King laughed, that distinctive Maine laugh I'd heard in dozens of interviews. A real job? She's a guardian of stories, a curator of dreams. What's more real than that? He turned to me. Now, shall we discuss the event? I'm thinking we cap it at 50 people. Real readers, not just collectors. Yes, of course. I was struggling to process this. And I'd like to sign some stock for your regular customers. Jim mentioned you have a customer who's been searching for a Bulgarian translation of The Stand. I held up the book I'd just unpacked. Mr. Petrov, he'll be thrilled. Perfect, I'll personalize it. He smiled. This is why places like this matter. Amazon doesn't know Mr. Petrov's been searching for that book. They don't care, but you do. Madison's phone was angled on him now. Her followers watching their influencer hero get philosophically destroyed by the master of horror. How many people know about the signing? He asked. Just you and me, I admitted. And now, well. He looked at my sisters, who were streaming to thousands. Well, so much for intimate. We won't tell anyone, Brittany lied frantically. We can keep a secret. Can you? He studied them with those sharp eyes that had created Carrie and Cujo and countless other nightmares. Because from what I heard when I walked in, you were mocking your sister for following her passion, calling this place, what was it, a funeral home for literature? Madison went red, Brittany white. The chat was brutal. Drag them, King. Those sisters are done. Elena deserves better. Mr. King, I started, but he held up a hand. Elena, how long have these two been undermining your dream? It doesn't matter. It does. It always matters. He addressed my sister's cameras directly. You know what's really sad? Having a sister who built something beautiful, something meaningful, and being too shallow to see its value. That's a horror story I wouldn't even write, it's too depressing. He turned back to me. Now, about the signing, I'm thinking we do it old school. No phones, no social media, just readers and books and stories, the way it should be. But, Madison started. But nothing, he said firmly. You've already broadcast to thousands that there's a secret Stephen King signing here. In about, he checked his watch, 10 minutes. This place will be mobbed. You've potentially ruined a beautiful event because you couldn't resist mocking someone doing what they love. The weight of what they'd done was finally hitting them. Their failed sister's dusty bookstore was about to become the most sought-after location in the city. We could delete the videos, Brittany offered weakly. Too late. The internet is forever, just like books. He smiled at that, though books are better company. My phone was already ringing. Local news, book bloggers, customers who'd seen the stream. The quiet signing I'd planned was morphing into something else entirely. I'm so sorry, I told him. This isn't what we discussed. Plans change, good stories adapt. He squeezed my shoulder paternally. But your sisters need to leave. This is your store, your moment. They don't get to profit from what they tried to destroy. You can't kick us out, Madison protested. We're family. Family doesn't humiliate family for content, he said simply. Elena, do you want them here? I looked at my sisters, really looked at them, saw the calculating gleam already returning to Madison's eyes as she planned how to spin this, saw Brittany angling her phone for a better shot of Stephen King. They'd never change. They'd never see me as anything but content for their cruel entertainment. No, I said quietly, I don't. We'll tell Dad, Madison threatened. Tell him Stephen King kicked you out? I asked. Please do. They left, still streaming, trying to salvage their narrative, but the damage to their brand was done. The chat had turned on them completely. The Wright sisters, the influences who mocked their sister's bookstore and got schooled by a literary legend. As soon as they were gone, Stephen King visibly relaxed. Thank God, vampires, I can handle. Influencers terrify me. How did you know? That they were your sisters? Jim warned me, said you had family troubles. Plus, only siblings can be that specifically cruel. He looked around the store with genuine appreciation. This really is special. You know, the atmosphere, the curation. That signed Shirley Jackson section made my heart skip. You saw? I've been here for 20 minutes. Came in through the back to avoid recognition. Watched the whole thing. His eyes twinkled. Wanted to make an entrance. Mr. King. Steve, the signing is probably ruined now. In minutes. We'll adapt. Here's what we do. He was in full storyteller mode now. We announce that due to overwhelming response, we're doing a lottery. Entry requires purchasing any book from your store today, doesn't matter what. 50 winners get to attend a private signing next week. Everyone else gets a signed bookplate. That's brilliant. I've done this before. Plus, it means you'll sell out your entire inventory today. Your sisters just gave you the best advertising possible. He grinned. Revenge is a dish best served with hardcovers. He was right. Within an hour, there was a line around the block. Every book flew off the shelves. Customers who'd never heard of Midnight Pages were suddenly desperate to support Stephen King's favorite bookstore. My phone buzzed with messages. From Dad, is it true about Stephen King? From Madison, this isn't fair. We made you famous. From Brittany, our followers are leaving in droves. This is your fault. I ignored them all, too busy ringing up sales, managing crowds, and watching Stephen King charm every customer who approached. You know, he said during a brief lull, signing bookplates at my counter. I based the bookstore in November 22nd, 63 on a place like this. A store where the owner knows every customer's taste, where books are recommended with love, not algorithms. Really? Really, though the owner wasn't dealing with Instagram sisters from hell, he paused. Actually, that's not a bad premise. Mind if I steal it? Only if you promise to make them really insufferable in the story. Oh, I think I can manage that. He signed another bookplate with a flourish. Elena, can I give you some advice? Please. Your sisters will never understand what you've built here. They measure success in views and likes. You measure it in the joy on Mr. Petrov's face when he finds his Bulgarian translation. They're playing checkers. You're playing chess. It doesn't feel like winning when they're making six figures from sponsorships and I'm counting pennies. Money is nice, but you know what's better? That couple in the corner who met at your book club and are getting married next month. That teenager who discovered she wants to be a writer in your young adult section. That elderly man who told me you special order large print mysteries for his wife with macular degeneration. He gestured around the packed store. This is success. This is legacy. By closing time, we'd sold more books in one day than I usually sold in a month. The lottery sign-up list had over 500 names. 3 major newspapers wanted interviews, and Stephen King was still there, helping me count the till. Same time next year? He asked casually. You want to come back? Annual secret signings at Midnight Pages. We'll make it a tradition, just you and me knowing until the day of. Though, he grinned, maybe don't invite your sisters. Deal. As he prepared to leave, he turned back one more time. Oh, and Elena, that 5-year plan your sister mocked? Think bigger. This place is going to outlive us all. After he left, I stood in my bookstore, my successful, beloved, saved bookstore, and finally let myself cry, happy tears, for once. My phone lit up with one final message. From Joyce Carol Oates, heard about your day. Save me a lottery ticket for next year's signing. JCO. I laughed, wiping my eyes. My sisters thought they'd exposed my pathetic little bookstore to the world. Instead, they'd shown the world exactly what it had been missing. The next morning, Madison and Brittany's social media numbers were in free fall. Bullying bookstore sisters cancelled was trending. Someone had made a supercut of all the times they'd mocked my store, set to the theme from Misery. But I wasn't watching. I was too busy opening my store to a line of eager customers, all hoping to shop where Stephen King shops, where stories matter more than followers, where success is measured in moments of wonder. The sign in my window still reads, "Midnight Pages, feed your imagination." But now I've added a small placard underneath, as featured in Stephen King's nightmares about influencers. He texts me sometimes, usually jokes about his works in progress. Last week, Chapter 5, the Instagram sisters get eaten by a possessed bookshelf. Too on the nose? I texted back, not enough, make it live streamed. His response, brilliant, art imitating life imitating horror. My sisters still make videos, but they've pivoted to wellness content. They don't mention me anymore, or books, or Stephen King. But every time I host an author event, run a book club, or help a customer find the perfect read, I think about what he said, this is success, this is legacy. And he was right. The dusty little bookstore is still here, still feeding imaginations, still proving that the best stories aren't always the ones that go viral, they're the ones that go deep. Though I did frame one comment from that disastrous livestream, plot twist, Elena was the successful sister all along. Stephen King signed it on his last visit. The scariest stories are the ones where the monster doesn't know it's the monster. Your sisters wrote their own horror story. You wrote your happy ending. SK. It hangs right next to my 5-year plan, which I've already had to revise. Bigger, as advised.
The last box of my life fit perfectly in the trunk of my beat-up Honda Civic. 15 years of marriage, reduced to cardboard containers and 2 suitcases. I stood in the driveway, keys dangling from my trembling fingers, when I heard their voices drift through the open window of what used to be my home. I always knew she wasn't good enough for my Damon. Michaela's voice sliced through the evening air. Now we can finally get rid of all traces of her artistic mess. I'm Elise, and this is how I lost everything I thought I had built. Well, almost everything. Mommy, can I bring Mr. Whiskers? My daughter Kylie's small voice called from the back seat, clutching her favorite stuffed cat. At least I hadn't lost what mattered most. Of course, sweetie. I managed a smile, though my chest felt like it was being crushed. The front door opened, and Michaela emerged, her perfectly coiffed silver hair catching the sunset. Still here? I thought I made it clear you needed to be gone by 6. Her lips curved into what others might mistake for a smile, but I knew better. We're leaving, I said, straightening my spine. Just making sure we didn't forget anything important. Important? She laughed, the sound like breaking glass. Everything important belongs to the family, and you, dear, are no longer family. My fingers curled into fists. Kylie is family. Oh, we'll see about that too. Her words hit like ice water. Damon's lawyer will be in touch about custody arrangements. Before I could respond, a sleek BMW pulled into the driveway. Damon stepped out, Harmony close behind him, 29, gorgeous, and everything I apparently wasn't anymore at 34. Dad, Kylie called out, but I touched her shoulder gently. Not now, sweetheart. We need to go. Damon at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. Elise, he started. Save it, I cut him off, climbing into the driver's seat. As I started the engine, I caught snippets of conversation through my open window. The gallery opening next month, Michaela was saying to someone on her phone. Make sure her name is removed from the list. In fact, let's make sure she's not welcome at any of the local exhibitions. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Art was my life, my career, my escape, and now she was trying to take that too. Where are we going? Kylie asked as we pulled away from the house. To Aunt Cadence's, I replied, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. Remember her? She's got that cool studio where you can paint whatever you want. Can we paint unicorns? All the unicorns in the world, baby. The drive to Cadence's small apartment took 20 minutes, each one feeling like an hour. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I checked it at a red light. Heard about your situation. Michaela's making calls. She's telling everyone you stole from the family. Better watch your back. A friend. My stomach churned. In our small town, Michaela's influence ran deep. She sat on every important board, attended every significant social event, and controlled more than just the art scene. Cadence was waiting outside when we pulled up, her wild curly hair a mess as usual. She rushed to help with our bags. "I've got the guest room ready," she said, hugging me tight. "And my studio is your studio." "I don't know how to thank you," I whispered, "by not giving up." She grabbed a box. "Oh, and Penny Thompson called me earlier. She's looking for new artists for her gallery." "Penny? But she's the only gallery owner in town who doesn't kiss Michaela's ring?" "Exactly." Cadence winked. "Sometimes the universe has a way of opening doors when others slam shut." Later that night, after Kylie was asleep in the guest bed, I sat on Cadence's balcony with a glass of wine. My phone kept lighting up with notifications, friends suddenly unfriending me on social media, cancellations for commissioned pieces, and one particularly nasty email from the local art association. "I heard Michaela's planning to drive you out of town completely," Cadence said, joining me with her own glass. "She's telling everyone you're unstable, that you threatened harmony." I laughed bitterly. "Of course she is." "You know what the best revenge would be?" Cadence leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Success. Real, undeniable success. The kind she can't touch." I took a long sip of wine, considering her words. Maybe she was right. Maybe losing everything was exactly what I needed to finally build something of my own. "First thing tomorrow," I said. "I'm calling Penny Thompson." "No, no, absolutely not." I shook my head at Cadence as she tried to arrange my paintings at the local farmer's market. "The sunset piece needs more light." 2 weeks had passed since the night we'd fled to her apartment. My hands were paint-stained again, and for the first time in days, I felt something close to normal. "There." Cadence adjusted the display. "Now, remember what I said. Price them like you mean it. No more underselling yourself." I was about to argue when a familiar tune caught my attention. Someone was humming Moon River, my grandmother's favorite song. I turned to find an elegant woman in her 50s, studying my largest canvas. "This speaks to me," she said, tracing the air in front of the painting without touching it. "The anger in these brushstrokes. But there's hope, too, like a storm breaking." "That's exactly what I was going for," I said, surprised by her insight. She turned, extending her hand. "I'm Penny, and you must be Elise." My heart skipped. "Penny Thompson? From the Grove Gallery?" "The very same." She smiled warmly. "Cadence has told me about your work, and about your situation." I shot Cadence a look, but she was suddenly very interested in reorganizing my business cards. "Don't be mad at her," Penny said. "We need to stick together in this town, especially with Michaela throwing her weight around." "You know Michaela?" Penny's laugh was sharp. "Oh, honey, everyone knows Michaela. She tried to shut down my gallery 3 years ago when I refused to feature her nephew's terrible photography." A young couple approached my booth, and I excused myself to help them. They were about to buy a small piece when the woman's phone buzzed. She checked it, whispered something to her partner, and they hurried away. "Let me guess," Penny said. "They got the mass text." "What mass text?" She pulled out her phone, showing me a message. "Warning. Local artist Elise G. sells fraudulent work. Pieces are copied from real artists. Avoid purchasing." My hands started shaking. "She can't do this. She can't just—" "She can, and she is." Penny's voice was steel. "But here's what we're going to do about it." For the next hour, Penny outlined her plan. Her gallery was hosting a major show next month, featuring women artists from across the state. "I want you to be part of it," she said. "But Michaela?" "Michaela doesn't control my gallery." Penny's eyes sparkled. "And wait until you meet the other artists. There's something brewing in this town, something bigger than Michaela's petty revenge." Just then, Kylie came running up with Cadence's brother Terrence, who'd been watching her while I worked. "Mom, look what I made." She held up a friendship bracelet, beaming. "It's beautiful, sweetie." I knelt to examine it. "I made one for you too," she said, tying it around my wrist. "And one for Ms. Penny." Penny accepted the bracelet with genuine delight. "You know," she said to me quietly, as Kylie showed Terrence her other creations, "my mother used to say that the universe speaks through children. They see truth we adults sometimes miss." She hummed Moon River again, and suddenly I was back in my grandmother's studio, watching her paint while singing that very song. How do you know that tune? I asked. Your grandmother taught it to me. Margaret was my first art teacher, back when I was just a girl with dreams bigger than this small town. My throat tightened. You knew my grandmother? She's the reason I opened the Grove. She always said art should be accessible to everyone, not just the social elite. Penny touched my arm. She'd be proud of you, you know, standing your ground. Later that evening, as I was packing up, a familiar BMW pulled into the parking lot. My heart raced as Damon stepped out. Elise, he said, looking uncomfortable. Can we talk? I think we said everything we needed to when you left. It's about Kylie. She's pushing for full custody. Says you're unstable, living with a friend, no steady income. Stop. My voice was stronger than I felt. Just stop. You want to talk about Kylie? Talk to my lawyer. I never wanted... What you wanted stopped mattering the moment you chose her over your family. I turned to Penny, who had appeared silently beside me. I'll see you tomorrow at the gallery? 9 sharp, she smiled. We have a show to plan. As Damon watched us walk away, Penny linked her arm through mine. You know what your grandmother would say right now? What? The best revenge is living well. But, she added with a wink, making amazing art that sells for thousands while your ex-mother-in-law watches helplessly is a close second. For the first time in weeks, I laughed, really laughed, and somewhere in that sound, I heard the beginning of something new taking shape. The Grove Gallery hummed with energy as I hung my final piece, a massive canvas depicting women rising from storm clouds, their faces both defiant and serene. 3 weeks of preparation had transformed the space into something magical. Perfect placement, Penny said, adjusting the spotlight. This one's going to be our centerpiece. A group of women gathered nearby, chatting excitedly. They were part of what we'd started calling the Collective, local female artists who'd been silenced or sidelined over the years. Some by Michaela, others by different forces, but all with stories that needed telling. Did you hear? Cadence rushed in, barely containing her excitement. The State Art Magazine is sending a reporter. Felicity just confirmed it. Penny's cousin Felicity, a journalist with connections throughout the art world, had been instrumental in spreading word about our show. Ladies, Penny called out, clapping her hands. Circle up. We need to discuss tonight's preview. 20 women formed a loose circle in the gallery's center. I recognized faces I'd known for years but never really known. Sarah from the coffee shop, who did incredible metal sculptures, Maria, who taught art at the high school, Rebecca, who'd been rejected from every local show for being too controversial. Tonight isn't just an art show, Penny continued. It's a statement. Each of you has something powerful to say, and finally, we're saying it together. The front door chimed, and we all turned to see Harmony standing there, looking uncertain. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I saw the lights on, and I love art, and I heard about the show. The room went silent. My heart pounded as everyone looked between us. Welcome, I said, surprising myself. Would you like a tour? Confusion crossed her face. Oh, you're Elise? In the flesh. She started to back away. I should go. I didn't know... Stay, Penny interjected. Art doesn't discriminate. Neither do we. As I showed Harmony around, something unexpected happened. She was genuinely moved by the work, asking intelligent questions, sharing her own love of painting. I used to paint, she admitted, but Michaela said it wasn't appropriate for someone in her family to pursue such an, unstable career. Sounds familiar, Rebecca muttered nearby. Before Harmony left, she paused at my centerpiece. This is incredible, she said softly. I wish things were different. They can be, I replied. The preview event began at 7. The gallery filled quickly with collectors, critics, and locals curious about the buzz. I was discussing my technique with a potential buyer when Cadence grabbed my arm. Incoming, she whispered. Michaela just pulled up. Sure enough, Michaela swept in moments later, her designer dress and perfectly coiffed hair a stark contrast to our artistic, casual vibe. She stopped dead when she saw my centerpiece. What is this? She demanded, turning to Penny. You're featuring her work? I'm featuring 20 talented artists, Penny replied calmly, each chosen on merit alone. Merit? Michaela laughed. She's nothing but a failed housewife playing with paint. Actually, a deep voice interrupted, she's brilliant. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped forward. I'm Marcus from the State Gallery Board. We're very interested in several pieces here, particularly Ms. Elise's series. Michaela's face reddened. You can't be serious. She's creating exactly the kind of innovative, emotionally resonant work we're looking for, Marcus finished. In fact, we'd like to discuss a traveling exhibition featuring the collective. The room buzzed with excitement. I caught Harmony's eye across the gallery. She'd returned with several friends. She gave me a small, encouraging smile. This is absurd, Michaela sputtered. I've supported this town's art scene for decades. I've guided it, shaped it, controlled it, Penny corrected, but not anymore. One by one, women stepped forward, sharing stories of how Michaela had blocked their work, threatened their livelihoods, or demanded changes to their art to fit her vision. You'll regret this, Michaela hissed at me. All of you will. The only regret, I said loudly enough for everyone to hear, is how long we let one person dictate our artistic expression. That ends tonight. As Michaela stormed out, Felicity appeared with her camera. Smile, ladies. This is going on the front page of tomorrow's arts section. The rest of the evening was a blur of sales, conversations, and possibilities. By closing time, most of my pieces had sold, including the centerpiece to Marcus himself. We did it, Cadence hugged me tight. We actually did it. This is just the beginning, Penny announced to our group. The collective is real now. We're a force to be reckoned with. Later, as we cleaned up, I found a note tucked into my purse, in Harmony's handwriting. Thank you for showing me what courage looks like. I'm leaving him, and I'm starting to paint again. I smiled, pinning the note to the gallery's inspiration board. Sometimes revenge doesn't look like what you expect. Sometimes it looks like freedom. Mom, look! Kylie pointed excitedly at the newspaper. That's you! The arts section featured a full-color spread about the collective's gallery opening. My centerpiece dominated the page, with Felicity's article detailing our artistic revolution in a small town. The photo captured all of us, arms linked, smiling with the kind of confidence I thought I'd lost forever. My phone buzzed. Damon's number. What do you want? I answered, stepping onto Cadence's balcony. Have you seen what you're doing to my mother? His voice was tight. She's in tears, Elise. People are canceling their memberships to her arts foundation. Funny how consequences work, isn't it? This isn't you. The Elise I knew wouldn't. The Elise you knew died the day you left. I gripped the railing. And this new version? She's done being silent. A knock at the door interrupted us. Cadence answered it, then called out urgently, Elise, you need to see this. I hung up and rushed inside. Rebecca stood in the doorway, shaking. Her phone displayed a social media post, photos of her more controversial pieces alongside accusations of moral corruption and dangerous influences. The comments were vicious. It's happening to all of us, she said. Michaela's friends are reporting our social media accounts, calling our employers, even contacting our landlords. My own phone started flooding with notifications. Someone had posted old photos from my college days, twisted with suggestive captions and false stories. She's trying to destroy us, Cadence said, scrolling through her phone. Sarah just lost her coffee shop job. Maria's being questioned by the school board. No, I said firmly. We're not letting her win. Call everyone. Emergency meeting at Penny's. Now. Within an hour, the collective gathered in Penny's back garden. The fear was palpable, but so was the anger. My landlord's threatening eviction, Maria said. Apparently, someone suggested I'm running an adult business from my apartment. The school board's reviewing my contract, Rebecca added. They're calling my art inappropriate for children. Ladies, Penny's voice cut through the panic. This is exactly what Michaela wants. Fear, division, surrender. But what can we do? Sarah asked. She has all the power. No, I stood up. She has influence. We have truth and numbers. Just then, an unexpected voice joined us. And you have me. Harmony stepped into the garden, followed by Felicity. "Why should we trust you?" Rebecca demanded. "Because I have proof." Harmony held up her phone. Screenshots, emails, recordings, everything showing how Michaela manipulates people, including what she did to Elise and others before her. The garden erupted in discussion. Felicity examined Harmony's evidence with professional interest. "This is gold," she said, "but publishing it could be risky." "I don't care anymore," Harmony replied. "I watched her destroy my relationship with art, then she tried to mold me into another one of her perfect society puppets. I'm done." My phone buzzed again. "Damon." "What now?" I answered. "Is Harmony with you?" He sounded different, worried. "Mother's losing it, Elise. She's talking about lawsuits, calling in favors. I've never seen her like this." "Good," I said. "Maybe she'll finally understand how it feels to lose control. Just be careful. She's not going to stop." As if on cue, our phones chimed simultaneously. A mass email from Michaela's Arts Foundation announced an emergency town hall meeting tomorrow night regarding the moral decay of our arts community. "Perfect," Penny smiled. "She's giving us exactly what we need, an audience." We spent the next hours planning. Felicity would prepare a story exposing Michaela's tactics. The collective would prepare a presentation of our work, focusing on its positive impact on the community. Harmony would speak publicly about her experiences. As everyone left, energized with purpose, I found myself alone with Harmony. "Why are you really helping us?" I asked. She touched one of my smaller paintings, a simple scene of Kylie painting. "Because this is real art. It makes people feel something true." She paused. "I was wrong to let Michaela convince me that love could be calculated like a business transaction." "Does Damon know you're here?" "He will." She smiled sadly. "We both need to stop letting others define our worth." Later that night, as Kylie slept surrounded by her stuffed animals, I received another text from an unknown number. "Watch your back. Tomorrow night won't go as planned. Michaela's got something big prepared. A friend." I forwarded it to Penny, who responded immediately. "Good. The bigger she makes it, the harder she'll fall." I walked to my easel, where a new piece was taking shape, a phoenix rising from ashes, but the ashes were torn canvas and broken paintbrushes. Around it, small figures reached up, catching sparks and turning them into stars. "What are you painting, Mommy?" Kylie's sleepy voice surprised me. "The future, baby," I said, lifting her onto my lap. "Want to help?" She picked up a brush, and together we added more stars to the darkness, each one a tiny act of defiance against those who would dim our light. The town hall buzzed with tension as people filed in. Michaela stood at the podium, arranging papers with trembling hands, while her supporters filled the front rows. The collective sat together on the left side, our bright clothes a stark contrast to their muted tones. "She's got the mayor here," Cadence whispered, nodding toward the stage, "and half the city council." "Good," Penny replied. "More witnesses." Felicity slipped into the seat beside me. "Articles ready to go live, just waiting for the right moment." The lights dimmed, and Michaela tapped the microphone. "Thank you all for coming tonight. We're here to discuss a serious threat to our community's values." A slideshow started behind her, carefully selected images of our more provocative pieces, taken out of context. "These so-called artists are corrupting our town's cultural heritage." "That's my piece," Rebecca hissed. "She completely twisted its meaning." "And their leader," Michaela continued, clicking to a photo of me, clearly taken without my knowledge, "has a history of destructive behavior." The next slides showed social media posts I'd never made, emails I'd never written. My hands clenched into fists. "Furthermore," Michaela's voice rose, "these women are operating without proper permits, endangering our children with their radical ideas, and—" "That's enough." The voice rang out clear and firm. Harmony stood up from the back row. "Every word you're saying is a lie, and you know it." Michaela's face reddened. "Sit down, dear. You're confused." "No, I'm finally seeing clearly." Harmony walked to the center aisle. "Should I tell everyone about the fake social media accounts you created? Or how about the threatening calls you made to landlords and employers? Security! Michaela called out, but no one moved. I stood up next. Or should we discuss how you tried to take my daughter away because I wouldn't bow to your control? One by one, the collective members rose, each sharing their story. Maria described the false complaints to the school board. Sarah detailed the lies told to her coffee shop employer. "This is ridiculous," Michaela sputtered. "I have proof." Actually, Felicity stood, holding up her phone. "We have proof. Real proof. My article just went live, including recordings, screenshots, and sworn statements from dozens of people you've threatened over the years." The room erupted in murmurs as people pulled out their phones, reading the exposé in real time. "You can't do this to me," Michaela's voice cracked. "I built this town's art scene." "No," Penny walked to the podium. "You controlled it. There's a difference." She turned to address the crowd. "The real art scene is about community, growth, and truth. Let us show you." At her signal, the lights shifted, and hidden panels around the room dropped, revealing an impromptu gallery. Pieces from every collective member told stories of struggle, triumph, and human connection. "This is what art should be," Penny continued. "Not a weapon for social control, but a bridge between hearts." The mayor stood up, looking troubled. "These accusations against Michaela, they're very serious." "And true," a new voice added. Damon walked in, carrying a thick folder. "I have copies of every email, every threat, every manipulated document, including what she planned to use to take Kylie away from her mother." Michaela staggered. "Damon, how dare you?" "No, Mother, how dare you? You didn't just hurt Elise. You've hurt everyone in this room in some way, including me." The crowd's murmurs grew louder. People began moving away from Michaela, some joining the collective's side of the room. "I move to immediately suspend Michaela from all civic positions pending investigation," a council member announced. "Seconded," another added quickly. "You can't." Michaela grabbed the podium. "Without me, this town's culture will collapse into chaos." "Actually," I stepped forward, "it will finally be free to grow." The vote was quick and decisive. As Michaela was escorted out, still protesting, the energy in the room shifted. People gathered around our artwork asking questions, sharing stories of their own experiences. "Mom!" Kylie ran to me from where she'd been waiting with Terrence. "Did we win?" I lifted her up, hugging her tight. "We did something better, baby. We told the truth." Later that night, the collective gathered at Penny's gallery. Harmony and Damon joined us, both looking lighter somehow. "So what now?" Sarah asked, raising her glass. "Now," Penny smiled. "We build something new, something real." My phone buzzed with a text from Felicity. "Story's gone viral. State papers picking it up. You're trending." But it wasn't the headlines I cared about. It was the sight of Kylie drawing alongside Rebecca's daughter, of Maria planning new classes for her students, of Sarah sketching ideas for her coffee shop's new art space. "You know what this means?" Cadence nudged me, grinning. "The Autumn Arts Festival needs new leadership." I looked around at these women who had become more than colleagues. They were family now. "I think we can handle that." Outside, the evening sky blazed with colors that begged to be painted, and for the first time in months, I felt completely, wonderfully free. "You can't be serious." I stared at the email on Penny's computer screen. "The National Arts Foundation wants to feature the collective?" "Not just feature," Penny grinned. "They want us to headline their autumn showcase in New York." 2 months had passed since the town hall showdown. The collective had grown from 20 members to over 50, with artists coming from neighboring towns to join our movement. "There's more," Penny clicked another email. "Remember that developer who wanted to tear down the old theater for luxury condos? They're offering it to us instead, as a permanent gallery and teaching space." My coffee cup clattered against its saucer. "How can we possibly afford—" "State arts funding," Felicity breezed in, waving a document. "Just got approved. Turns out when you expose corruption in the arts community, people want to support positive change." The gallery door chimed. Harmony walked in, carrying a canvas covered in brown paper. "Is that what I think it is?" Cadence asked. Harmony nodded, carefully unwrapping her first completed painting since leaving Damon. "I'm not sure it's good enough for—" "Stop," I interrupted. "That's Michaela talking. Show us. The painting took our breath away. A woman emerging from a chrysalis. But the chrysalis was made of society pages and fashion magazines, crumbling away to reveal vibrant colors beneath. "It's perfect for the showcase," Penny declared. "Speaking of which, we need to discuss the opening night." We gathered around the planning table where Sarah was arranging a timeline. "The developer's letting us use the theater for one night before renovations begin. We'll transform it into a multi-level gallery space." "And look who RSVP'd," Felicity pulled up the guest list. "Every major art critic in the state, 3 museum curators, and—" The door chimed again. Damon walked in, looking uncomfortable. "Can we talk?" he asked me quietly. Outside, the autumn air was crisp. We walked in silence for a moment. "Mother's leaving town," he finally said. "Moving to Florida to live with her sister." "Good. I'm sorry, Elise, for everything. For not seeing what was happening, for letting her control everything, for—" "Stop." I faced him. "I'm not interested in apologies. What I care about is Kylie. That's why I'm here. I'm withdrawing the custody challenge. You're an amazing mother, and what we did, it wasn't right." Before I could respond, my phone rang. It was Maria. "Turn on the local news, now." We rushed back inside just as Penny switched on the TV. Michaela was holding a press conference outside her mansion. "These women are frauds," she declared, mascara running. "I have proof their funding is based on lies. The autumn showcase will be a disaster, mark my words." "What proof?" Harmony scoffed. "Doesn't matter," Felicity was already typing on her laptop. "No one believes her anymore. In fact, yes, the Arts Foundation just tweeted their full support of the collective." "She's desperate," Penny said, "which makes her dangerous. We need to make this showcase absolutely perfect." For the next 2 weeks, we worked nonstop. The old theater came alive with scaffolding and lighting rigs. Artists worked side by side, creating installations that flowed from one to another. Even Kylie contributed, her children's art workshop space becoming a favorite feature. The night before the showcase, I found Harmony touching up her painting. "Scared?" I asked. "Terrified," she admitted, but the good kind of terrified, like standing on the edge of something amazing. "You know she'll try something tomorrow night." "Let her." Harmony's brush moved confidently. "We're stronger together." Dawn broke on showcase day with unexpected news. Michaela had posted online that she'd be holding a competing event at her home, featuring traditional, respectable art. "Perfect," Penny said when she heard. "Let her show exactly what we're breaking free from." The theater filled with last-minute preparations. Sarah directed lighting crews while Rebecca coordinated the catering. Maria's students arrived to help with setup, their energy infectious. "Mom!" Kylie called from her workshop space. "Look what we made!" She and the other children had created a massive collage of butterflies, each one carrying messages of hope and change. "That's going in the main entrance," Penny decided. "It's exactly what this night is about." As evening approached, I stepped outside for air. The line of people waiting to enter stretched around the block. News vans parked nearby, their cameras already rolling. Damon appeared beside me. "Need any last-minute help?" "Actually," I smiled. "We could use someone to manage the coat check." He laughed. "From controlling husband to coat check guy. Seems fair." Inside, the collective gathered for one final moment together before doors opened. Penny raised her glass. "Whatever happens tonight, remember this. Art isn't about power or control. It's about truth, our truth. Now let's show them what that looks like." We clinked glasses as the doors opened and the first guests entered. Through the windows, I could see Michaela's empty driveway across town, and I felt something unexpected, pity. But there was no time for that now. Our moment had arrived and we were ready to shine. The old theater pulsed with energy as hundreds of people moved through the transformed space. Critics scribbled in notebooks, photographers captured every detail, and collectors huddled in corners, discussing prices. "They love it," Cadence squeezed my arm, pointing to a group of museum curators examining Rebecca's installation. "They actually love it." A commotion near the entrance drew our attention. Michaela had arrived, wearing an evening gown that seemed excessive even for her. She wasn't alone. Is that the state tax auditor? Penny whispered, recognizing the stern-faced man beside Michaela. Ladies and gentlemen, Michaela's voice carried across the room. Before you waste any more time here, you should know that this entire operation is under investigation for financial irregularities. The room quieted. My heart raced as the auditor stepped forward, opening his briefcase. Actually, a new voice cut through the tension. That investigation was completed this morning. A woman in a sharp suit emerged from the crowd. I'm Amanda Davis, head of the State Arts Commission, and the collective passed with flying colors. Michaela's face fell. But you said? I said I'd look into their finances, the auditor replied. I did. They're exemplary. You, on the other hand. He turned to face Michaela. Have some explaining to do about certain discrepancies in your foundation's accounts. This is ridiculous, Michaela's voice rose. I built this town's art scene. I decided who succeeded and who— And that's exactly the problem, Amanda interrupted. Art isn't about one person's control. It's about community, growth, and opportunity, which is why the Commission is proud to announce a full partnership with the collective. Applause erupted. Michaela staggered backward, bumping into Harmony's painting. Before anyone could react, she grabbed it. You want community? She snarled. Here's your community. She moved to tear the canvas. Stop! Harmony's voice cracked like a whip. She stepped forward, tears in her eyes but head held high. That painting is about you, Michaela, about how you tried to make me into your perfect society puppet, how you did the same to countless others. Look at it. Really look. The room held its breath as Michaela stared at the painting, the woman emerging from her chrysalis of social expectations and false pretenses. Michaela's hands trembled. I was only trying to maintain standards. No, I stepped forward. You were trying to maintain control, but art isn't about control. It's about freedom. Freedom? She laughed bitterly. Look what freedom got you, living in a friend's apartment, raising your daughter alone. Building a movement, Penny added, inspiring others, creating real change. And not alone, Damon spoke up from where he'd been watching. None of us are alone anymore. That's what you never understood, Mother. True art brings people together. It doesn't divide them. Michaela looked around the room, seeing perhaps for the first time how many people stood against her. Her grip on the painting loosened. Security will escort you out, Amanda said quietly. And the Commission will be in touch about those financial discrepancies. As Michaela was led away, the energy in the room transformed. People moved closer to Harmony's painting, seeing it with new understanding. Critics who'd been skeptical began writing furiously in their notebooks. Mom! Kylie ran up, her face glowing. The nice lady from New York wants to buy my butterfly picture. Can I sell it? I looked at Penny, who nodded encouragingly. Of course you can, sweetie. How much do you want for it? $1 million, she declared, making everyone laugh. How about we start with something more reasonable? The collector smiled, kneeling to Kylie's level. And maybe you can make more for my gallery in Manhattan? The rest of the evening passed in a blur of sales, interviews, and congratulations. The National Arts Foundation representative announced they were doubling their support for our New York showcase. 3 museums requested traveling exhibitions. Near midnight, as the crowd thinned, the collective gathered in Kylie's butterfly workshop space. Final count, Felicity announced, checking her tablet. 87 pieces sold, total sales over $200,000, and that's not counting the commissions and exhibition deals. But more importantly, Penny added, look around, look what we built together. We did. The theater hummed with possibility. Where there had been emptiness, now there was life. Where there had been silence, now there was conversation. Where there had been fear, now there was courage. I just got a text from the auditor, Cadence said. Michaela's foundation is being dissolved. All assets will be transferred to community arts programs. Poetic justice, Rebecca smiled. No, I corrected, watching Kylie show another child how to make paper butterflies. Just justice. Outside, the autumn night was clear and cool. Stars sparkled above the old theater, now transformed into something new and vital. Tomorrow would bring challenges, renovations, programs to plan, a New York showcase to prepare for. But tonight, we celebrated not just victory over one person's control, but the birth of something larger than ourselves. A community, a movement, a revolution of color and truth and freedom. And it was beautiful. Perfect. I stepped back from the newly installed sign, the Collective Arts Center, where every voice matters. The old theater's facade gleamed in the morning sun, its Art Deco details restored to their former glory. Ready for the big day? Penny appeared beside me, carrying 2 coffee cups. As ready as I'll ever be, I accepted the coffee, watching students arrive for our first official classes. Young artists, retired hobbyists, and everyone in between streamed through the doors. "Guess who just pulled up?" Cadence called from inside. Through the front windows, I saw Harmony helping an elderly woman from a car. Michaela looked smaller somehow, less imposing in simple clothes without her usual perfect hair and makeup. "Are you sure about this?" Penny asked quietly. "Everyone deserves a chance to find their voice," I replied, remembering my own journey. "Even her." Michaela entered hesitantly, clutching a worn sketchbook. I saw the flyer for beginners' classes." "Welcome," I said, surprising myself with how much I meant it. "Maria's teaching basic techniques in Studio 3. Before you go," Harmony touched her former mother-in-law's arm, "I saved you a spot next to me." Tears welled in Michaela's eyes as she followed Harmony upstairs. Through the open studio door, I heard Maria's warm welcome, the scratch of charcoal on paper, the murmur of encouragement. "Mom!" Kylie burst through the door. "The art supply truck is here. Can I help unpack?" "Hold on, wild thing," I laughed. "First, show our guest your new piece." Amanda from the State Arts Commission stood examining Kylie's latest work, a vibrant mixed media piece combining painting and collage. "This is extraordinary," Amanda marveled. "How old did you say she is?" 8 going on 30, I smiled. "She's teaching a children's workshop next week." "Following in her mother's footsteps," Damon said from the doorway. He carried a box of supplies. "Where do you want these?" "Studio 4, Penny directed. "Rebecca's sculpture class starts in 20 minutes. The morning unfolded like a flower opening to the sun. In Studio 1, Sarah taught senior citizens to work with watercolors. Studio 2 hosted a photography workshop for teenagers. Upstairs, Felicity documented everything for a feature on community art spaces. During lunch break, I found Michaela sitting alone in the courtyard, staring at her sketch. "May I?" I gestured to the empty seat. She nodded, turning her sketchbook so I could see. The drawing was rough but honest, a small bird breaking free from a cage. "I never told anyone," she said softly, "but I used to paint. Before I married into society, before I became what I became, I thought I had to choose between art and respect. And now? Now I realize respect isn't about controlling art, it's about letting it breathe." From inside, we heard laughter. Kylie was showing other kids how to make her famous butterflies, their small hands creating wings of hope and possibility. "We're having an evening showcase next week," I said. "Student works, if you'd like to contribute." "I'm not ready." She shook her head. "But maybe someday." The afternoon brought more classes, more voices finding their strength through art. Terrence helped install new lighting in the gallery space, while Cadence organized the upcoming exhibition schedule. As evening approached, the collective gathered in what we now called the Heart, the central space where all the studios connected. "First day stats," Felicity announced. 12 classes, 147 students, ages 8 to 82. Not bad for a bunch of rebellious artists. "And wait until they see what's next," Penny grinned. "The National Arts Foundation called. They want us to develop a template for community art centers across the country." Speaking of next, I pulled out a stack of papers. The State Commission approved our youth scholarship program, art supplies and classes for any kid who wants to learn, regardless of ability to pay. "To new beginnings," Sarah raised her paint-stained coffee cup. "And old endings," Harmony added, watching her former mother-in-law leave with a lighter step than she'd arrived with. Later, as I locked up, I found Kylie in my studio, adding final touches to her butterfly wall. Each paper wing carried a message of change, of growth, of possibility. Mom, she said thoughtfully, are we rich now? I laughed. Not in money, baby. But in everything that matters? Yeah, we're pretty rich. Outside, the sunset painted the sky in colors no artist could perfectly capture, but we'd never stop trying. Tomorrow would bring new classes, new challenges, new opportunities to help others find their voice. But tonight, standing in our transformed space, surrounded by the evidence of what happens when people dare to create change, I felt something settle in my soul. Not an ending exactly. More like a beginning that kept beginning, every day, with every brushstroke, every sculpture, every photograph, every voice that finally dared to speak its truth. And that was the most beautiful masterpiece of all.
The email glowed on my screen like a burning ember, its subject line searing into my consciousness. Collins Enterprise faces bankruptcy. My fingers trembled as I clicked to open it, a decade of buried memories threatening to surface. My name is Daisy, and 12 years ago my father destroyed my life with 4 words. Get out of my house. I took a deep breath and reached for my coffee, trying to steady my nerves as I scanned the confidential report. Spreadsheets, financial projections, and internal memos painted a clear picture. My father's empire was crumbling. Daisy, Eliza's voice cut through my thoughts as she appeared in my office doorway. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. Look at this, I said, turning my laptop toward her. Eliza's heels clicked against the hardwood floor as she circled my desk, her eyes widening as she read. Is this verified? 3 separate sources. I closed the laptop. He's losing everything. Are you okay? Eliza's hand squeezed my shoulder. She was one of the few people who knew my whole story, who'd been there when I'd shown up at her apartment that rainy night, mascara streaking down my face. I'm fine, I lied, standing up and smoothing my skirt. It's just business. But it wasn't just business. It never had been. The memory hit me like a physical blow, standing in my father's study, watching his face contort with rage as he waved the photos in my face, photos of my mother with another man. You knew, he'd roared. You knew about the affair and you said nothing. Dad, I swear I didn't. Don't lie to me. His fist had slammed against his mahogany desk. Your mother confessed everything. You helped her hide it. My own daughter. That's not true, I'd pleaded, but he wouldn't listen. He never listened. My phone buzzed, jolting me back to the present. A text from Lionel. Did you see the news? Otto's stock is in freefall. We should head to the meeting, Eliza said softly. I nodded, gathering my things. As we walked toward the conference room, employees nodded respectfully. None of them knew that their CEO had once been thrown out onto the street with nothing but a backpack and a few $100s. The board's nervous about the merger, Eliza murmured as we approached the glass doors. Phoebe's been stirring up concerns about risk exposure. Let her, I said, pushing open the door. I've dealt with worse than Phoebe MacDonald. The board members rose as I entered, all except Phoebe, who watched me with barely concealed skepticism. I took my place at the head of the table, feeling the weight of their expectations. Good morning, I began, my voice steady. Before we discuss the merger, there's something you should know. Collins Enterprise is facing imminent bankruptcy. The room erupted in whispers. Phoebe leaned forward, her eyes sharp. And how did you come by this information? I have my sources, I replied coolly. More importantly, this presents an opportunity. Their assets will be undervalued, their clients uncertain. We're perfectly positioned to step in. You mean take advantage of their weakness, Phoebe said. Isn't Collins Enterprise owned by your father? The room fell silent. I met her gaze steadily, years of practice keeping my expression neutral. My personal history with Otto Collins is irrelevant. This is about business. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Lionel. Otto's asking for a meeting. Tomorrow. I felt a smile curve my lips, one that didn't reach my eyes. After 12 years of silence, my father wanted to talk. How fitting that he'd reach out now, when his empire was falling apart. Miss Collins? One of the board members cleared his throat. What exactly are you proposing? I stood, walking to the window that overlooked the city skyline. Somewhere out there was the Collins Enterprise building, its logo still proudly displayed despite the chaos surely unfolding inside. I'm proposing we make them an offer, I said, turning back to face the board. One they can't refuse. Phoebe's pen tapped against her notepad. And you can remain objective about this, given your history. I thought about the night I'd left, about the years of struggling to build myself up from nothing, about the daughter who desperately tried to prove her innocence to a father who wouldn't listen. Trust me, I said, my voice carrying the weight of 12 years of carefully planned revenge. I'm exactly objective enough. As the meeting continued, my phone lit up with one final message. This one from Zachariah, my father's lawyer. He knows he needs you. Don't underestimate his desperation. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, a familiar fire burning in my chest. Otto Collins was about to learn that the daughter he'd thrown away had become the woman who held his fate in her hands. And I intended to make every moment count. You're playing a dangerous game, Daisy, Lionel's voice carried across my office as he paced, his usually composed demeanor cracking. Otto may be desperate, but he's still dangerous. I looked up from the stack of financial reports spread across my desk. So am I. This isn't just about revenge anymore, he said, stopping to face me. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar acquisition. The board's already nervous. The board will fall in line once they see the numbers. I pushed a folder toward him. Take a look. Lionel flipped through the pages, his eyebrows rising. These projections are conservative, I finished. Even with their current losses, Collins Enterprises' intellectual property alone is worth twice what we'd pay in a hostile takeover. A knock at the door interrupted us. Eliza entered, her face tense. Phoebe's called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. She's questioning your judgment. Of course she is. I stood walking to the window. The city lights twinkled below, a constellation of possibilities. Let her question. I've earned my position here. By becoming exactly what your father accused you of being. Lionel's words hit like a slap. I spun around. Excuse me? He held up his hands. I'm on your side, Daisy. Always have been. But using insider information, leveraging personal connections, it's exactly what he claimed you did with your mother's affair. That was different, I snapped. I was innocent then. And now? Before I could answer, my phone rang. The caller ID made my heart skip. Zachariah. Put it on speaker, Eliza suggested. I answered, placing the phone on my desk. This is Daisy. Your father's condition for tomorrow's meeting. Zachariah's voice crackled through the speaker. He wants it at the house. The house. My childhood home. The place I'd been thrown out of 12 years ago. Absolutely not, Eliza interjected. That's completely inappropriate for a business meeting. It's not a business meeting, Zachariah replied. Not really. And you know it, Daisy. I caught Lionel's eye. He gave a slight nod. Fine, I said. Tell him I'll be there at noon. After hanging up, silence filled the office. Eliza broke it first. You can't go alone. Yes, I can, and I will. I gathered my papers into my briefcase. But first, we need to handle Phoebe. I might have something that could help, Lionel said, pulling out his tablet. Remember that merger she pushed through last year? The one that seemed too good to be true? He pulled up a series of documents, and as we read through them, a plan began to form. By midnight, we had everything we needed. The next morning, I walked into the board meeting wearing my sharpest suit and my coldest smile. Phoebe sat near the head of the table, practically vibrating with righteous indignation. Before we begin, I announced, I'd like to address the concerns about my objectivity regarding Collins Enterprise. Concerns is putting it mildly, Phoebe interrupted. You're letting personal vendetta drive business decisions. I placed a folder in front of each board member. Inside, you'll find detailed financial projections for the acquisition, along with something else interesting, documentation of insider trading related to the Maxwell merger last year. Phoebe's face went white. I believe, I continued smoothly, the board member who orchestrated that deal should recuse themselves from questioning anyone else's judgment. The room erupted in whispers as Phoebe gathered her things and fled. I remained standing, waiting for the chaos to settle. Any other concerns about my leadership? Silence answered me. One by one, the board members shook their heads. After the meeting, Lionel caught up with me in the hallway. That was brutal. That was necessary, I corrected. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a lunch meeting to prepare for. Daisy. He caught my arm. Whatever happens at the house, remember who you are now, not who you were then. I pulled away gently. That's exactly what I'm counting on. Back in my office, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the only photo I had from before. My father and me at my college graduation, both smiling, his arm around my shoulders. It was taken 3 weeks before everything fell apart. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Heard about Otto's troubles. Be careful, sweetheart. He's not the man we knew. I hadn't spoken to her in years, not since she'd moved across the country with her new husband. Her betrayal had cost me everything, yet somehow she'd escaped the fallout unscathed. Neither am I texted back, then blocked her number. Eliza appeared in my doorway. Car's ready. Last chance to let me come with you. I shook my head, standing and gathering my things. This is between me and him. As I stepped into the elevator, I caught my reflection in the mirrored walls. Gone was the terrified 20-year-old girl who'd been thrown out into the rain. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who'd learned that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with a smile and a legally binding contract. The doors closed, and I began my descent toward the confrontation 12 years in the making. The iron gates of my childhood home creaked open as my car approached. The sound sent a shiver down my spine. They never used to creak. My father had always insisted on impeccable maintenance. I parked in the circular driveway, my modern BMW looking out of place among the manicured gardens that had once been my mother's pride and joy. Now they were overgrown, roses climbing wildly over their trellises. "Ms. Collins," a voice called out. Martha, our old housekeeper, hurried down the front steps. Her hair had gone completely grey, but her eyes were just as kind as I remembered. "Martha," my voice cracked as she pulled me into a tight hug. "I didn't know you still worked here." "Someone has to look after him," she whispered, pulling back to study my face. "You look just like your mother." I flinched. "Is he inside?" "In the study. Where else?" She squeezed my hand. "He's been in there all morning, going through old papers." The front door opened with the same gentle creak it always had, and the familiar scent of lemon polish and old wood wrapped around me. Family photos still lined the entrance hall, but I noticed all the ones featuring my mother or me had been removed, leaving conspicuous empty spaces on the walls. "Would you like some tea?" Martha asked. "No, thank you. I'd rather get this over with." I climbed the stairs, my heels sinking into the thick carpet. At the top, I paused outside my old bedroom. The door was closed, probably locked. I wondered if everything was still exactly as I'd left it that night. "It's exactly the same," Martha said softly behind me. "He never let anyone touch it." Before I could respond, a voice boomed from down the hall. "Is that her?" I turned to see my father standing in the doorway of his study. He'd aged more than I'd expected. His hair now completely white, his tall frame slightly stooped. But his eyes were as sharp as ever. "Hello, Father." He didn't respond, just turned and walked back into his study. I followed, noting the empty whiskey bottles on his desk that Martha hadn't managed to clear away yet. "Sit," he commanded, gesturing to one of the leather chairs facing his desk, the same chairs where I'd sat countless times before, learning about business at his knee, before everything went wrong. "I prefer to stand." "Still stubborn," he muttered, lowering himself into his chair. "Just like your mother." "I'm not here to discuss Mom." I placed my briefcase on his desk. "I'm here to discuss the future of Collins' enterprise." He laughed, a harsh sound with no humour in it. "The vultures are circling already. My own daughter, coming to pick at the carcass of my life's work. You gave up the right to call me your daughter 12 years ago." I pulled out a stack of papers. "These are the terms of our offer. It's more than fair, considering your company's current position." He didn't even glance at the documents. Do you remember what I taught you about hostile takeovers? Always know your opponent's weakness, I quoted. You taught me well. Too well, it seems. He stood up, walking to the window. Did you know your mother calls me sometimes, late at night, when she's had too much wine, begs for forgiveness? I gritted my teeth. Sign the papers, Otto. He turned at the use of his first name, pain flashing across his face. You really hate me that much? Hate requires emotion. This is business. Is it? He pulled open a drawer and took out a thick envelope. Then why did you help her hide it? All those secret meetings, the mysterious phone calls. You were my daughter, my heir. Why did you betray me? I never betrayed you. The words burst out before I could stop them. I knew nothing about her affair. Nothing. Then explain this. He tossed the envelope onto the desk. Photos spilled out. Surveillance photos of me meeting with my mother at various cafes and restaurants in the months before everything fell apart. Those meetings. I picked up one of the photos, remembering. She was planning your birthday party, a surprise party. That's all it was, he scoffed, a convenient excuse. It's the truth. I pulled my phone out and scrolled through old emails, finding one from 12 years ago. Look, the receipt for the vintage car she bought you. The one you'd wanted since college. That's what all those meetings were about. His hands trembled as he took my phone, reading the email. But she said, she lied. I snatched the phone back. She needed a scapegoat, and I was convenient. And you were so ready to believe the worst of me. The grandfather clock in the corner chimed noon, its deep tones filling the heavy silence between us. The offer expires at 5 p.m. today, I said, straightening my jacket. Your board has already provisionally approved it. It's the only way to save what's left of the company. I turned to leave, but his voice stopped me at the door. The car, he said quietly. I never even drove it. Had it towed away the day after. After you left. I didn't turn around. 5 p.m., Otto. Don't make me do this the hard way. As I walked back down the stairs, Martha was waiting with tears in her eyes. You grew up strong, little one. I had to, I replied, pushing past her into the bright afternoon sun, leaving the ghosts of my past behind in that dusty old house. But as I drove away, I couldn't shake the image of those empty spaces on the walls, waiting to be filled again. He's here. Eliza's voice crackled through my office intercom at exactly 4:30 p.m. And he's not alone. I straightened in my chair, smoothing my skirt. Who's with him? Zachariah. And they're carrying a large briefcase. Send them in. The door opened and my father walked in, looking even more haggard than he had at the house. Zachariah followed, clutching a worn leather briefcase that I recognized from my childhood, the one my father had always said contained his most important documents. Cutting it close, I said, gesturing to the chairs across from my desk. You have 30 minutes until the deadline. We're not here to sign your takeover agreement, Zachariah said, placing the briefcase on my desk with surprising gentleness. Then you're wasting my time. I reached for my phone. I'll have security escort you out. Daisy, my father's voice cracked. Please, just look inside. Something in his tone made me pause. I'd never heard him say please before. Not once in my life. What's in it? The truth, Zachariah answered, opening the briefcase and pulling out a thick manila envelope. About everything that happened 12 years ago. My hand trembled as I took the envelope. I already know what happened. Mom had an affair, and you needed someone to blame. Read it, my father insisted. All of it. I pulled out the contents, photographs, letters, bank statements, and what looked like private investigator reports. The first photo made my blood run cold. It showed my mother meeting with a man I didn't recognize, but it wasn't in a romantic setting. They were in what appeared to be an underground parking garage. Keep going, Zachariah urged. The next document was a bank statement showing regular transfers from my mother's private account to an offshore number. Large transfers. The dates aligned perfectly with her supposed affair. I don't understand, I muttered, spreading the papers across my desk. Your mother wasn't having an affair, my father said quietly. She was being blackmailed. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? The man in those photos worked for our biggest competitor at the time, Zachariah explained. He had evidence that could have destroyed your father's company, evidence of some questionable dealings from the early days. My father stood up, pacing the office. Your mother discovered it first. Instead of coming to me, she tried to handle it herself. Protect me. Protect the company. But you said... I shuffled through more photos, seeing my mother looking increasingly distressed in each one. I found out about the meetings, the money transfers, jumped to conclusions. He stopped at the window, staring out at the city skyline. When I confronted her, she let me believe the affair story, said it would be better that way. Better than what? Better than the truth coming out. Zachariah pulled out another document. This would have sent your father to prison. Your mother knew that. So she sacrificed herself, I whispered. But why did you blame me? My father turned back, his eyes red. Because she convinced me you were helping her hide the affair. Said you were covering for her because you were angry at me for never being home, always working. It made sense at the time. You two were always so close, and you believed her. The words tasted bitter in my mouth. Without even asking me. I was a fool. He sank back into the chair. By the time I discovered the truth, you were gone. Your mother had moved away, and I was too proud to admit I'd been wrong. The office fell silent except for the ticking of the wall clock, 4:45 p.m. Why now? I asked finally. Why tell me this after all these years? Because, Zachariah said, your mother is back in town, and she's demanding control of her shares in Collins Enterprise. Shares she's not entitled to, my father added. Not after what she did, but with the company vulnerable. She could force a sale to our competitors, I finished, understanding dawning. The same ones who blackmailed her. Yes. My father pulled out one final document. This is a different proposal, not a hostile takeover, but a merger. Equal partnership. I stared at the paper, my carefully planned revenge crumbling around me. And what about the truth? Do we just bury it again? No. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a USB drive. Everything's here. What your mother did, what I did to you. Release it however you want. I deserve whatever comes. The clock struck 4:50 p.m. In 10 minutes, I could destroy him completely. Take everything he'd built. It was what I'd planned for 12 years. Instead, I found myself asking, does Mom know you're here? No, Zachariah answered. She's meeting with the board tomorrow morning. I picked up the merger proposal, scanning its terms. Give me your phone. My father handed it over without question. I punched in a number I'd memorized years ago but never used. Who are you calling? He asked. Martha, I replied, my voice steady. Tell her to get my old room ready. We're going to need somewhere to work late tonight if we're going to stop Mom's plan. For the first time in 12 years, I saw my father smile. A real smile, tinged with hope and regret in equal measure. The clock ticked toward 5 as we began to plan. The study looked different in the middle of the night. Shadows danced across the walls as I pored over years of financial records, my laptop casting a blue glow across the antique desk. Found something, I called out, and both my father and Zachariah hurried over. Look at these transactions, every quarter like clockwork. Shell companies, my father muttered, leaning closer, all leading back to Global Pacific Holdings, Zachariah finished. Your mother's new husband's company. I sat back, rubbing my tired eyes. She planned this from the beginning. The blackmail, the fake affair, everything. It was all about getting access to Collins Enterprise. A gentle knock interrupted us. Martha entered with a fresh pot of coffee and sandwiches. You need to eat, she insisted, setting the tray down. Been at this for hours. Martha, I said suddenly, do you remember that night? When I left? She paused, her hand trembling slightly as she poured coffee. Of course, dear. Horrible night. Your mother was so calm about it all. Too calm. now that I think about it. What do you mean? Well, Martha glanced at my father apologetically. Most women who've been caught in an affair show some emotion, guilt, shame, something. But your mother, she was almost relieved. Because it worked, my father said quietly. Her plan worked perfectly. I opened another file on my laptop. Not perfectly. She didn't count on me building my own company, or on you keeping her shares locked up in trust. Speaking of which, Zachariah pulled out his phone. My contact at the SEC just confirmed it. Your mother's new husband has been quietly buying up Collins Enterprise stock through various fronts. They're just shy of a controlling interest. If tomorrow's board meeting goes their way... I didn't need to finish the sentence. My father slammed his fist on the desk. 12 years. She spent 12 years setting this up. And used me as the perfect distraction, I added bitterly. While you were busy disowning me, she was laying the groundwork. Martha touched my shoulder gently. There's something else you should know. The night you left, after you'd gone, I overheard your mother on the phone. We all turned to look at her. She was speaking to someone about Phase 1 being complete. Said something about the girl being out of the way. Martha's eyes filled with tears. I should have said something sooner. It wouldn't have mattered, my father said. I was too blind to see anything then. I stood up, pacing the room. The board meeting's in 6 hours. We need proof, something concrete to show them. Wait! Zachariah started rifling through the old briefcase. There was something... Here. He pulled out a yellowed envelope. Your mother's original blackmail evidence against the company. The stuff she claimed would send you to prison. My father took the envelope with shaking hands. I never actually saw what she had, just took her word for it. I watched as he opened it, spreading the contents across the desk. His expression changed from fear to confusion to anger. These are forgeries, he said finally. Amateur ones at that. Any half-decent forensic accountant would have spotted it immediately. She played you, I whispered. There was never any real evidence. But why go through such an elaborate scheme? Martha asked. Why not just... Because of me, I realized. I was next in line to run the company. She needed me gone, needed you broken, so when the time came... The company would be vulnerable, my father finished. And she'd swoop in with her new husband's resources to save it. Zachariah was already on his phone. I can have a forensic team here in an hour to authenticate these forgeries. If we can prove she knowingly used false documents for blackmail... No, I said, an idea forming. We need to let her play her hand. What do you mean? I pulled up my email and started typing. We're going to give her exactly what she wants. A chance to tell her story to the board. My father read over my shoulder as I wrote. You're inviting her to present first. That's risky. Trust me, I said, then caught myself remembering the last 12 years. I do, he said quietly. Trust you. Now, I hit send and turned to face them all. Martha, we'll need breakfast for 15 in the main dining room at 8 a.m. Zachariah, get those documents to your forensic team, but tell them to wait for my signal. Father, I paused. How good are your acting skills? What did you have in mind? I smiled, thinking of all the business lessons he'd taught me over the years. Remember what you always said about the element of surprise? He nodded slowly, a glimmer of the old Otto Collins returning to his eyes. The best trap is the one your enemy walks into willingly. Exactly. I checked my watch. Now, let's get ready. We have a performance to prepare for. As Martha hurried off to make arrangements, I caught my reflection in the window. For the first time in 12 years, I saw my father's daughter looking back at me. But this time, instead of running from that legacy, I was going to use it to save everything he'd built, and make my mother regret the day she'd tried to destroy us both. The morning sun streamed through the dining room windows as board members filed in, their faces a mix of confusion and curiosity. My father sat at the head of the table, playing his part perfectly, shoulders slumped, tie slightly askew, the very picture of a defeated man. Is this really appropriate? Phoebe whispered as she passed me. Having a board meeting in your father's house. Just wait, I murmured back, checking my phone. A text from Eliza. Your mother just pulled up. black Mercedes, 2 men with her. Right on schedule. The dining room doors opened and there she was. Penelope Collins, looking exactly as I remembered. Elegant, poised, and completely lethal. Her new husband, Richard, followed close behind, along with their lawyer. "Well," my mother said, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent room. "This is certainly nostalgic, Penelope," my father acknowledged weakly, not meeting her eyes. "Perfect performance." "Otto." She turned to me, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Daisy, darling, you've done well for yourself." "Let's skip the family reunion," I replied coldly. "You called this meeting. The floor is yours." She gracefully took her position at the opposite end of the table, Richard standing supportively behind her. "As you all know, I hold significant shares in Collins Enterprise. Given the company's current difficulties, I believe it's time for a change in leadership." The board members shifted uncomfortably. My father stared down at his hands. "My husband's company, Global Pacific Holdings, is prepared to offer a generous bailout package," she continued smoothly. "In exchange for controlling interest, of course." "And what about existing shareholders?" one board member asked. "They'll be well compensated," Richard stepped in. "We've prepared a full presentation." "Before we continue," I interrupted, standing up, "I have some questions about the timing of all this." My mother's smile tightened slightly. "Timing?" "Yes. It seems convenient that you've waited until now to exercise your shareholder rights. Almost as if you've been planning this for, 12 years? "I don't know what you're implying," she said, but I caught the slight tremor in her hand as she reached for her water glass. "Don't you?" I nodded to Zachariah, who started distributing folders to everyone present. These documents tell an interesting story about blackmail, forged evidence, and a very long con. Richard leaned down to whisper something in my mother's ear, but she waved him off. "Ancient history," she declared. "What matters is the present and the fact that this company needs saving." Funny you should mention saving. I clicked a remote, and the dining room's hidden projector screen descended. Because I have some recent history to share as well. Security camera footage began playing, showing my mother and Richard in various meetings over the past year, with competitors, with short sellers, with people who had no business meeting a woman who claimed to be a disconnected shareholder. "You've been deliberately undermining the company," I stated flatly, "creating the very crisis you're now offering to solve." "That's ridiculous," Richard snapped. "These meetings were about orchestrating a hostile takeover," I finished. "Or about completing the plan that started 12 years ago with a fake affair and a forged set of documents." My mother's composure finally cracked. "You can't prove any of this." "Actually," my father spoke up, his voice stronger now, "we can. The SEC has been very interested in the trading patterns around our recent stock decline, particularly the short positions taken by certain shell companies registered in the Cayman Islands." The board members were openly staring now, documents spread before them, watching the drama unfold. "You're bluffing," my mother said, but uncertainty had crept into her voice. I pulled out one final envelope. "This is a copy of a recorded conversation between you and your blackmail target from 12 years ago. The original is already with the FBI. Would you like me to play it for everyone?" She stood so quickly her chair toppled backward. "This is absurd. Richard, we're leaving." "Mrs. Collins," one of the board members called out, "if you leave now, we'll have no choice but to vote to freeze your shares pending investigation." She froze, hand on the doorknob. For the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. "There's another option," I said quietly. "Sign over your shares to the company trust. Walk away clean. No charges, no investigation." "You wouldn't dare pursue charges," she hissed. "It would destroy the company's reputation." "Try me." I met her gaze steadily. "I learned from the best after all. Isn't that what you wanted? To teach me about power and control?" The room held its breath as my mother looked from me to my father, to the board members, and finally to Richard, who was already edging towards the door. "The papers," she said finally, her voice hollow. "Where do I sign?" As Zachariah produced the documents, I caught my father's eye across the table. He gave me the smallest nod, pride and regret mingling in his expression. The mighty Penelope Collins signed away her shares with trembling hands, then fled the room without another word, leaving Richard to hurry after her like a forgotten afterthought. "Well," Phoebe broke the silence, "I believe we still have a merger to discuss." I smiled, sitting back down. "Yes, we do. And I think you'll find our new proposal much more interesting than a hostile takeover." The morning sun continued to stream through the windows as we began to rebuild what my mother had tried so hard to destroy. "The merger documents are ready," Zachariah announced, placing a thick stack of papers on my father's desk. The study felt different now, warmer somehow, as afternoon light filtered through the freshly cleaned windows. "Before we sign," my father said, "there's something I need to show you." He walked to the far wall and pressed a hidden panel, revealing a small safe I'd never known existed. "What are you doing?" I asked, watching as he spun the combination. "Something I should have done 12 years ago." He pulled out a leather-bound book. "This is your grandmother's diary. She made me promise to give it to you when you took over the company. But you never did." "No." He handed it to me, his hands shaking slightly. "Because it contains the truth about how I built this company, the real truth." I opened the diary, scanning the neat handwriting. "Dad, your mother wasn't entirely wrong about there being secrets," he continued. "Your grandmother, she knew everything, kept records of every deal, every compromise, every line I crossed." Zachariah cleared his throat. "Perhaps I should step out." "No," my father said firmly. "You need to hear this too. We're merging our companies, Daisy. You deserve to know exactly what you're inheriting." I read through the pages, my heart sinking with each revelation. Questionable land deals, environmental corners cut, competitors sabotaged. The empire I'd spent years trying to take over had been built on a foundation of sand. "Why show me this now?" I asked, closing the diary. "Because I don't want to make the same mistake twice." He sat heavily in his chair. "Secrets destroyed this family once. I won't let them do it again." A knock at the door interrupted us. Eliza entered, looking concerned. "Sorry to interrupt, but there's something you both need to see." She turned on the study's television. A news anchor was mid-sentence. "Shocking allegations against Global Pacific Holdings. Sources claim the company has been involved in systematic market manipulation." "Mother's revenge," I muttered. "She's taking Richard down with her." "Not just him," Eliza said. "They're naming names. Lots of them, including some of our major shareholders." My father stood up. "This could tank both companies before we even complete the merger. Unless—" I picked up my grandmother's diary. "Unless we get ahead of it." "What are you suggesting?" "Full disclosure." I met his eyes. "Everything. The old secrets, the recent manipulation, all of it. But we control the narrative." "That's corporate suicide," Zachariah protested. "No," my father said slowly. "It's brilliant. We paint it as a generational transformation. The old guard giving way to new leadership, new values." I nodded. "We take the hit now, on our terms, rather than death by 1,000 cuts, as these revelations leak out." "The stock will plummet," Eliza warned. "Let it," I said. "We've got enough liquid assets between both companies to weather the storm. And when it's over, we'll be the only ones left standing," my father finished, "because we chose to fall first." The next hour was a blur of activity. Lawyers were called, press releases drafted, statements prepared. Through it all, my father and I worked side by side, finishing each other's sentences like we used to when I was young. "There's one more thing," he said as we finished the final draft. "The house. I want you to have it." I looked up, surprised. "What?" "Not as a peace offering or manipulation," he added quickly, "but because it's where you belong, where we belong." "I have my own place," I started to say, but Martha chose that moment to appear with coffee. "Oh, good," she said, setting down the tray. "You're finally talking about the house. I've kept your room ready all these years, you know." "Martha, don't argue with me, young lady. This house has been too empty for too long." She gave me a stern look that transported me right back to childhood. "Besides, someone needs to make sure you both actually eat proper meals while you're saving the company." A laugh bubbled up from somewhere deep inside me, surprising us all. Soon my father joined in, then Eliza and Zachariah, even Martha. The tension of the day dissolved in that moment of shared mirth. "Okay," I said finally, wiping my eyes. "Okay, I'll think about it." "Good," my father picked up his pen. "Now, shall we sign these merger documents before the press conference?" I reached for my own pen, then paused. "One condition." "Name it." "We keep grandmother's diary in the company archives, available to any employee who wants to read it." He didn't hesitate. "Agreed." As we signed our names, I thought about the girl I'd been 12 years ago running out into the rain. She'd wanted revenge, wanted to destroy everything her father had built. Instead, I was helping to rebuild it, stronger and more honest than before. "Ready?" Eliza asked, checking her watch. "The press is gathering downstairs." I stood, straightening my jacket. "Ready." My father moved to my side, and together we walked toward the study door, toward whatever storm was coming. Behind us, Martha began humming as she cleared away the coffee cups, a sound as familiar as the house itself. We were ready to face the truth, whatever the cost. The morning headlines screamed across every business publication. "Collins Enterprises and rival merge. CEO reveals decades of corporate secrets." I set my coffee mug on my old bedroom desk, now converted into a home office, and opened my laptop to check the stock prices. "Don't," Eliza called from the doorway. "Give it at least a week before you start obsessing over numbers." "Too late," I replied, turning the screen to show her. "We're down 40%. "Exactly as predicted." She sat on the edge of my desk. "The shareholders who jumped ship are exactly the ones we wanted to lose." My phone buzzed. A message from Lionel. "Just got out of the board meeting. Everyone's on board with the transparency initiative, even Phoebe." A knock at the door interrupted my reply. My father stood there, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in years, despite the chaos swirling around us. "The SEC called," he said. "They're formally investigating Global Pacific Holdings. Your mother and Richard have apparently left the country." "Running won't help them," Eliza noted. "Not with the evidence we provided." "No," I agreed. "It won't." I closed my laptop decisively. "But that's not our problem anymore." Martha's voice echoed up the stairs. "Breakfast is ready, and the newspaper wants to know if you're available for an interview." We headed downstairs to find the dining room table covered with papers, laptops, and Martha's infamous breakfast spread. Zachariah was already there, typing furiously on his phone. "The small shareholders are organising," he reported. "They want to know if we'll protect their interests during the stock decline." "Show them the stabilisation plan," my father said, reaching for the coffee pot. "Full transparency, remember?" I grabbed a piece of toast and pulled up our presentation. We should live stream the next shareholders' meeting. Let everyone see how we're handling this. "Speaking of handling things," Eliza interjected, "have you seen the employee messages?" She handed me her tablet. The company forum was flooded with responses to our revelation of the corporate secrets. But instead of the outrage we'd expected, most expressed appreciation for the honesty. "They're calling it a new era of corporate responsibility," my father read over my shoulder. "Never thought I'd see the day." "Well," Martha said, refilling coffee cups, "truth has a way of setting things right." A new message popped up on my phone. From my mother's private number. "You've destroyed everything we worked for. I hope you're happy." I showed it to my father. He took the phone, typed a quick response, and handed it back. I read what he'd written. "No, we're building something better. Goodbye, Penelope." "Perfect," I said, hitting send and blocking the number. Zachariah cleared his throat. "The press is asking about the family angle. They want to know how you two reconciled." "Tell them the truth," my father said, surprising me. Tell them it took losing everything to realize what really mattered. And what's that? I asked softly. He met my eyes across the table. Trust. The kind that has to be earned, not demanded. Martha sniffled quietly in the corner, pretending to be very interested in arranging pastries. The market's about to open, Eliza reminded us. Ready to face whatever comes next? I looked around the table, at Eliza's unwavering support, Zachariah's steady competence, Martha's maternal presence, and my father's newfound humility. This was what winning really looked like. Not destroying an enemy, but building something worth protecting. Actually, I said, standing up, I think we should go to the office. Show everyone we're not hiding. Good idea, my father agreed. But first, he walked to the study and returned with grandmother's diary. This belongs in the lobby display case, where everyone can see it. Along with today's papers, I added. Show them how far we've come. As we gathered our things to leave, Martha caught my arm. You're staying for dinner tonight, yes? Both of you? I glanced at my father, who nodded. Wouldn't miss it, I said. Outside, the morning sun painted the garden in shades of gold. The roses my mother had planted were still there, but now they grew alongside new varieties. Ones Martha had chosen, wild and colourful and free. Ready? My father asked, keys in hand. 1 second. I pulled out my phone and deleted the old photo of my college graduation, the last picture of our fractured family. Instead, I snapped a new one, the house in morning light, the garden blooming, and our shadows stretched across the lawn, standing together. Now I'm ready, I said. As we drove toward the office, toward whatever challenges awaited, I realized something profound. Revenge hadn't healed my wounds. Truth had. And truth, unlike revenge, left room for something new to grow. The company would survive. The family, what was left of it, would heal. And I had finally found what I'd been looking for all along. Not victory over my father, but victory alongside him. Martha was right. Truth does have a way of setting things right. And sometimes it takes losing everything to find what you never knew you needed.
The morning my world imploded smelled like French roast and betrayal. I was wiping down the espresso machine when I found the first receipt, a crumpled slip of paper that would unravel everything I'd spent the last 3 years building. $47,000 at Bergdorf's, Emily's signature, my business account. My hands trembled as I smoothed the paper on the counter. The early morning sunlight streaming through the cafe windows felt too bright, too harsh. This had to be a mistake. Emily wouldn't, she couldn't. But there were more, so many more. I trusted her to handle the books while I focused on growing our little coffee shop into something special. You're the creative one, Lauren, she'd said, laughing over wine just last week. Let me deal with the boring numbers stuff. The stack of statements spread across the counter told a different story. Designer clothes, first-class flights, 5-star hotels, all carefully hidden beneath legitimate business expenses, draining my dream dry one swipe at a time. The bell above the door chimed. "Morning, boss," Desiree called out, hanging up her coat. She must have read something in my face because her smile vanished. "Lauren, what's wrong?" I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up around the betrayal lodged there. Instead, I just pushed the pile of papers toward her. "Oh my God," she whispered, flipping through them. "Oh my God, how much?" "Everything," I managed. She took everything. The morning regulars would start arriving soon. The lawyers from the firm down the block, the nurses getting off night shift, the college students cramming for early classes. They'd want their lattes and scones and that perfect little boost to start their day. They had no idea their favorite neighborhood cafe was drowning in debt. My phone buzzed. Emily's face lit up the screen. A selfie of us from opening day. Champagne glasses raised in celebration. I let it go to voicemail. "Have you called the police?" Desiree asked. I shook my head. She covered her tracks too well, made everything look legitimate. I signed off on reports without checking because I trusted her. My laugh came out bitter as burnt coffee. God, I'm such an idiot. You're not an idiot. She's your best friend. Was your best friend. Desiree corrected herself. Best friend. The words tasted like ash. Emily and I had met in college, sharing dreams over cheap wine and cheaper ramen. When I'd finally scraped together enough for a down payment on this place, she'd been the first person I called. We'd painted these walls together, argued over chair colors, celebrated every tiny milestone. Now she was gone, along with my savings, my business account, and any chance of keeping this place afloat. The phone buzzed again, this time a text. Lauren, I can explain everything. Please don't do anything rash. Meet me at Riverside Park at noon. I have a plan to fix this. Delete it, Desiree said firmly. Whatever excuse she's got, whatever she's planning, it's not worth hearing. She was right. I knew she was right. But my finger hovered over the message. The morning rush started trickling in. I plastered on a smile, made small talk over steaming milk and grinding beans. Every transaction felt like a mockery. These people believed in my little cafe enough to make it part of their daily routine. Emily had made me break that trust without even knowing it. By 11, my decision was made. I grabbed my coat. Lauren, don't, Desiree pleaded. At least let me come with you. I need to hear her say it, I said. Need to watch her face when she explains how she could do this to me. Be careful. People who can betray you once will do it again, I finished. Yeah, I'm counting on it. The cafe door closed behind me with a cheerful jingle that felt like a lie. Emily thought she was calling me to Riverside Park to manipulate me one last time. She thought she knew exactly how this would play out. My anger, her tears, some elaborate story about circumstances and intentions. But she taught me one valuable lesson. Never show your whole hand at once. I pulled out my phone and dialed the number I'd found buried in those bank statements, the one connected to suspicious transfers and late-night calls. Zane, it's Lauren. We need to talk about Emily Cooper. The game she'd started was about to change, and this time I'd be the one writing the rules. The debt collection notices hit my doorstep like fallen leaves, a steady, suffocating pile of consequences. I'd spent the night sorting through them, each envelope another nail in my cafe's coffin. Credit cards maxed. Supplier payments bounced. Even my personal account had been drained to cover the hemorrhaging business expenses. Emily hadn't shown at Riverside Park. Of course she hadn't. My phone lit up. Desiree again. I'd ignored her last 3 calls, but this time I picked up. I'm outside your apartment, she said before I could speak, with coffee and those almond croissants you stress eat. Open up. I considered pretending I wasn't home, but the thought of facing another hour alone with these papers made my chest tight. Doors unlocked. Desiree took one look at my living room floor, now a sea of red-stamped notices, and set the coffee down. Okay, this is intervention time. When's the last time you slept? Sleep's not gonna fix this. I grabbed a croissant anyway, the buttery layers dissolving on my tongue. Did you know she took out a second mortgage on the cafe? Without my knowledge, I don't even know how that's possible. It's not. That's straight up fraud. Try proving it. Every document has my signature. Perfect forgeries. I laughed, the sound scratching my throat. She even got my habit of dotting I's with little circles. Desiree settled beside me, her shoulder warm against mine. What did Zane say? That Emily approached him 6 months ago, trying to sell him insider information about my suppliers, recipes, everything. He turned her down, but I swallowed hard. He wasn't the only cafe owner she contacted. That manipulative bit, a sharp knock cut her off. We both froze. Ms. Wagner? A man's voice. This is Nathan Morris from Morris & Banks Collections. We need to discuss your outstanding payments. Desiree squeezed my hand. I squeezed back, neither of us breathing. We have documentation of multiple missed payments. If you don't address this immediately, we'll be forced to pursue legal action. The threat hung in the air like smoke. After what felt like hours, footsteps retreated down the hallway. They can't take the cafe? Desiree said fiercely. We won't let them. They can, and they will. I pulled out my phone, showing her the latest email. Unless I come up with $127,000 by the end of the month. Jesus. She grabbed the phone, scrolling through figures that made my head spin. Have you talked to Matthew? He's got connections in banking. Maybe he could. I'm not dragging your brother into this mess. He'd want to help. No. The word came out sharper than intended. I can't owe anyone else. Not now. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. The voicemail notification popped up seconds later. Lauren? Emily's voice, thick with tears. Please, I know you hate me right now, but you have to understand. I never meant. Things just got out of control. But I can fix this. I have a way to make everything right. Just check your email. Please. Desiree was already shaking her head. Delete it. Whatever scheme she's cooking up will probably make things worse. I was already opening my laptop. Yeah, but I need to know what she's planning. The email loaded, a single document attachment, a contract for the sale of Riverside Cafe to a developer planning to demolish the whole block. The offer's legitimate, I said numbly. 3 times what the cafe is worth, enough to clear the debt and then some. It's blood money, Desiree spat. She drives you into debt, then conveniently has a buyer lined up. She's probably getting a cut. She was right, but the numbers kept swimming before my eyes. A way out, handed to me by the same person who'd pushed me over the edge. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Zane. Need to meet. Found something about Emily you should see. I stood up, brushing croissant crumbs from my lap. I need air and answers. Lauren? Desiree's voice was careful. Whatever you're thinking of doing, I'm thinking it's time to stop reacting and start acting. I grabbed my coat. Emily wants to play developer? Fine. But first, I need to understand exactly what game she's been running. The collection notice crunched under my feet as I headed for the door. Behind me, Desiree called out, Just promise me you won't do anything stupid. I didn't answer. After all, stupid would be trusting Emily again. What I had in mind was something much more calculated, and it started with finding out what Zane knew. Zane's cafe was everything mine used to be, bustling, vibrant, alive with possibility. The scent of success hung thick in the air, mingling with artisanal coffee and fresh-baked bread. My stomach clenched as I pushed through the door. He was behind the counter, sleeve tattoos on display as he pulled espresso shots. 10 minutes, he mouthed, gesturing toward an empty table. I sat, fighting the urge to analyze everything. His equipment, his layout, his menu prices. Instead, I watched his customers, trying to ignore the voice in my head calculating how many I'd lost this week alone. Here. A steaming cup appeared in front of me. Your usual, oat milk cappuccino, extra shot. You remember my order? Hard to forget the competition. Zane dropped into the seat across from me, his expression unreadable. Especially when she orders the same thing 3 times a week for months. My hand froze halfway to the cup. Emily came here? Started about 8 months ago. Always during your busy hours, always with her laptop. He slid his phone across the table. Always meeting with this guy. The photo was grainy but clear enough. Emily, head bent close to a man in an expensive suit. Papers spread between them. My chest tightened. I recognized those papers. our original lease agreement. That's Marcus Reynolds, Zane said. Developer. Been buying up properties all along this strip. The one who made the offer on my cafe. Bingo. He leaned back, arms crossed. Emily's been working with him since before your money troubles started, setting up the perfect distress sale. The cappuccino turned bitter on my tongue. She engineered the whole thing. The theft, the debt. It was all to force me to sell. For pennies on the dollar. Then Reynolds develops the block. Emily gets her commission, and your cafe becomes another overpriced apartment complex. My fingers curled into fists under the table. Why are you telling me this? We're competitors. My failure is your gain. Something flickered across Zane's face. Anger? Hurt? Reynolds approached me too, offered to buy me out for triple market value. But you didn't sell. This place? He gestured around the cafe. It's not just business, it's community, history, something Emily clearly doesn't understand. My phone buzzed. Another text from Emily. The developer needs an answer by Friday. Please, Lauren, this is your best way out. She's wrong, Zane said quietly. There's always another way. Is there? The words came out raw. I'm drowning in debt, hemorrhaging customers, and the only person I trusted. My voice cracked. I looked away, blinking hard. Hey, his hand covered mine, warm and calloused. You've got something Emily never will, people who actually care about this place, your regulars, your staff, hell, even your grumpy competitor next door. A laugh escaped before I could stop it. Grumpy? I prefer discerningly morose. His grin faded. Look, I've got copies of Emily's meetings, timestamps, everything. It won't undo the damage, but it's evidence of conspiracy, enough to maybe press charges. Or, an idea started forming, dangerous and tempting. Enough to turn her own game against her. Zane's eyebrows rose. What are you thinking? That Emily's not the only one who can play developer. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through contacts. But I'm going to need help, starting with your evidence and your coffee supplier, the one Emily couldn't convince to work with her. Understanding dawned in his eyes. Lauren, that's playing with fire. Good thing I've got nothing left to burn. I stood up, energy thrumming through my veins. Emily thinks she's got me backed into a corner. Time to show her what that really feels like. Wait. Zane caught my arm as I turned to leave. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Emily's desperate, and desperate people are dangerous, I finished. So am I. She made sure of that. Outside, the street was filling with afternoon crowds. Through Zane's window, I could see him watching me, concern etched on his face. My phone buzzed again, Desiree this time, probably wondering where I'd disappeared to. I ignored it, opening my email instead. Time to send Emily exactly what she was waiting for. You're right. We need to talk. Meet me at the cafe tonight after closing. Just us, like old times. The response came seconds later. Thank you, Lauren. You won't regret this. Oh, but someone would. I just had to make sure it wasn't me. Desiree found me in the cafe's storage room, surrounded by years of receipts and bank statements. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the window, turning paper edges to gold. You missed our check-in call, she said, closing the door behind her. I was worried. I'm fine. I held up a stack of documents. Just doing some forensic accounting. Right, because that's totally normal behavior. She settled onto a crate of coffee beans. Want to tell me what happened with Zane? I told her everything. Emily's conspiracy with the developer, the staged financial collapse, all of it. With each word, the betrayal felt fresher, sharper. That calculating witch. Desiree's voice shook. We have to go to the police. With what? Everything looks legitimate on paper. I gestured at the mess around us. Emily made sure of that. Then, what's your plan? I hesitated. Desiree had been my rock through this nightmare, but what I was considering, maybe it's better if you don't know. Oh, hell no. She grabbed my arm. You don't get to protect me by shutting me out. Not now. Fine. I met her eyes. I'm going to make Emily think she's won. Sign the papers, act desperate and grateful, then use Zane's evidence to prove she orchestrated the whole thing. That's actually not as crazy as I expected. There's more. I pulled out my phone, showing her the email chain with Emily's developer. While she thinks I'm defeated, I'll be negotiating with other developers, creating a bidding war. Once word gets out about the potential rezoning, understanding dawned on Desiree's face. The property value skyrockets, and Emily's careful plan implodes. She loses her commission, her reputation, her freedom, if we can prove fraud. Desiree's expression hardened. But Lauren, this is dangerous. If she realizes what you're doing, she won't. I stood, pacing between towers of storage boxes. Emily thinks she knows me, the trusting friend, the creative dreamer who never checks the books. She has no idea what I'm capable of. That's what scares me. Desiree's voice was quiet. I've never seen you like this. Like what? Strong? Strategic? Cold? The word hit like a slap. I turned to face her, protest rising, but the concern in her eyes stopped me. Emily betrayed me, I said finally. Tried to destroy everything I've built. What am I supposed to do? Forgive her? No, but maybe remember who you are while you're fighting back. She stood, touching my shoulder. The Lauren I know built this place because she wanted to create something beautiful, not destroy someone else. That Lauren was naive. That Lauren was kind. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. Emily, confirming tonight's meeting. The sight of her name made my stomach clench. I have to do this, I said, even if it changes me. Then let me help, whatever you're planning. No. The word came out sharper than intended. I need you clean in case things go wrong. Besides, I managed a smile. Someone has to keep the cafe running while I play developer. Fine. Desiree pulled me into a fierce hug. But promise me something? What? When Emily shows up tonight, remember the friend she used to be, not because she deserves it, but because you deserve to keep that part of yourself. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Instead, I buried myself back in paperwork, searching for any detail Emily might have missed. Hours later, after Desiree left, I found it, a discrepancy in the timing of transfers, a pattern hidden in plain sight. Emily hadn't been working alone. Someone else had accessed our accounts, someone with banking expertise. My hands shook as I pulled up an old photo on my phone. Emily's birthday last year, all of us celebrating. There in the background, smiling at the camera, Matthew, Desiree's brother, the friend who'd offered to help with my banking troubles. The final piece clicked into place, shattering whatever warmth Desiree's words had stirred. Emily hadn't just betrayed me, she'd built a whole network of deception, using my closest relationships against me. The cafe's front door chimed. Emily's silhouette appeared, right on schedule. Time to show her exactly what her betrayal had created. Emily looked smaller somehow, standing in my cafe's dim evening light. Her designer clothes hung loose, dark circles shadowed her eyes. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered Matthew's face in that photo, and my heart hardened. Lauren. Her voice cracked. Thank you for... Sit down. I gestured to the table where we'd planned this cafe's future together. Let's make this quick. She sank into the chair, hands twisting in her lap. I know you're angry. Angry doesn't begin to cover it. I stayed standing, needing the height advantage. Tell me something, Em. When did you recruit Matthew? before or after you started draining my accounts. The color drained from her face. What? Don't. I slapped the transfer records on the table. His signatures all over these. The timing, the amounts. It had to be someone with banking experience, someone I trusted. Lauren, please. Was it his idea, the whole developer scheme, or did you corrupt him like you corrupt everything you touch? It wasn't like that. She stood abruptly, sending her chair scraping back. Matthew was trying to help. Help steal my life's work? Help save it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You were drowning, Lauren. Too proud to see it, too stubborn to change. The cafe was failing months before I touched those accounts. The words hit like a physical blow. You're lying. Check the books yourself, the real ones, not the pretty fiction you were showing investors. 3 failed health inspections. Supplier costs skyrocketing. Customer numbers dropping every month. Because you were sabotaging me. Because you refused to adapt. She grabbed a napkin, wiping her eyes. Matthew saw it first. Said if we didn't intervene, you'd lose everything. At least this way, you get something out of it. My hands shook as I snatched up the papers. So this was what? Tough love? Betraying me for my own good? The developer's offer is real, more than this place is worth. You could start fresh, do something new. This is my home. The words exploded out of me. Every recipe, every regular, every morning rush. It's not just business. It's who I am. It's who you were. Emily's voice softened. Lauren, look around. Really look. When's the last time this place was full? When's the last time you paid yourself a real salary? You're holding on to a dream that's already dead. I wanted to scream that she was wrong, but memories flickered unbidden. Empty tables during peak hours, bounced checks I'd hidden from staff, sleepless nights calculating how to make rent. The papers are here. Emily pulled out an envelope. Signed tonight and everything's covered. Debt cleared, fresh start guaranteed. Keep fighting. She shrugged. Well, bankruptcy leaves fewer options. My phone buzzed. Zane, got the proof. Ready when you are. One text and I could destroy her. Expose the conspiracy. Ruin her career. Maybe even send her to jail. The plan I'd spent days crafting waited like a loaded gun. But her words echoed, cutting deeper than any betrayal. A dream that's already dead. You're right, I said quietly. Emily blinked. What? About the cafe struggling. About me being too proud to see it. I sank into the chair across from her. But you're wrong about one thing. What's that? That betrayal was your only option. I pulled out my own envelope. These are letters from regulars, staff, even competitors. People willing to invest, to help restructure, to fight for this place. People who believe in what we built here. Lauren, I could destroy you right now, show everyone what you and Matthew did. But then I'd be just like you, someone who destroys things instead of building them. Her hands trembled as she reached for the letters. I pulled them back. I'm not signing the developer's deal. Instead, I'm offering you a choice. A choice? Help me save this place, legitimately this time. Use your connections, your financial skills, everything you turned against me. Help me rebuild, or I slid Zane's evidence folder across the table. Or I use this, your call. Emily stared at the folder, then at me. In her eyes, I saw the same calculation I'd been wrestling with. Revenge versus redemption. Destruction versus creation. Why would you trust me again? She whispered. I don't. But I trust myself enough to try something different. I stood up. You have until morning to decide. Choose carefully. I left her there, surrounded by the wreckage of our friendship and the possibility of its resurrection. Outside, the night air felt clean, New. My phone buzzed again. Desiree this time. I answered, ready to face whatever came next. Sometimes saving a dream meant letting it change. Morning brought rain and Matthew's unexpected silhouette at my door. He stood there dripping, his banker's suit dark with water, looking nothing like the friend who'd offered financial advice over Sunday brunches. "Emily told me what happened," he said. I let the silence stretch, remembering all the times he'd sat at my counter, watching me work while he helped balance my books. How many of those numbers had been lies? "Aren't you gonna let me in?" "Depends. Are you here as my friend or Emily's accomplice?" He flinched. "Lauren, please, just let me explain." I stepped aside, not trusting myself to speak. He moved past me into the cafe, the familiar scent of his cologne now turning my stomach. "The developer called this morning," he said, turning to face me. "Emily didn't show up to sign the final paperwork." And he's pulling the offer, all of it." Matthew ran a hand through his wet hair. "Do you understand what that means? The debt, the mortgage." "I understand betrayal just fine. Thanks." "Damn it, Lauren, I was trying to help." His composure cracked. "You were hemorrhaging money, every month watching you pour more into this place, knowing it was only delaying the inevitable. So you and Emily decided to speed up the process?" My laugh felt like broken glass. "How generous." "We had a plan, a clean exit, money to start fresh." He stepped closer. "We can still salvage this. I have other investors." "Stop." I held up my hand. "Just stop pretending this was about helping me." "It was. Is. Why can't you see that?" "Because real help doesn't come with lies." The words burst out of me. Real friends don't conspire behind your back, manipulate your accounts, push you toward failure to force their solution. "And what's your solution?" He gestured around the empty cafe. "More 60-hour weeks? More credit card debt? More pretending everything's fine while you drown?" Before I could answer, the door chimed. Zane walked in, stopping short at the tableau before him. "Bad time?" "Perfect time," I said, not taking my eyes off Matthew. "Show him." Zane pulled out his phone, playing a recording. Emily's voice filled the space. "Once the property value crashes, we'll control the whole block. Lauren never has to know our part in it." Matthew's face went ash gray. "Where did you get that?" Turns out Emily's not great at checking for security cameras during her coffee meetings. Zane's voice was casual, but his eyes were hard. "Got dozens of these. Really interesting stuff about artificial debt creation, forged signatures, market manipulation." "You're bluffing." "Want to test that theory?" I stepped closer. "See how your banking career survives a fraud investigation?" "Lauren." Matthew's voice cracked. "Please, everything I did was for my own good." "Yeah, I got that part." I moved to the counter, started my morning coffee routine. The familiar motion steadied my hands. "Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna call your banking friends, restructure my debt, legitimately this time. Then you're going to disappear from my life. Or Zane's evidence goes to the FBI. Steam hissed as I pulled a shot of espresso. "Your choice." The silence stretched, broken only by the gurgle of brewing coffee and distant rain. "You've changed," Matthew said finally. "Yeah, funny how betrayal does that." He reached for his phone, fingers trembling slightly as he dialed. The conversation was brief, technical, final. "It's done," he said afterward. "The terms will be emailed over." "Good, now get out." He paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I really did care." "I know, that's what makes it worse." After he left, Zane leaned against the counter. "You okay?" "No." I pushed a cup toward him. "Oat milk cappuccino, extra shot." "But I will be." "Lauren?" He hesitated. "Emily's still out there, and now she's desperate." "Let her come." I started prepping for opening, the morning routine grounding me. I'm done playing defense. My phone lit up with a text. Emily, you forced my hand. Hope you're ready for what comes next. I showed it to Zane. His expression darkened. She won't stop, he said. No. I squared my shoulders, facing the rain-streaked windows where the first light of dawn was breaking. But neither will I. The morning crowd would arrive soon, seeking their daily comfort in coffee and routine. They'd find something different today. A owner who'd finally stopped trying to please everyone, who'd learned that sometimes saving what you love means fighting for it. Emily wanted war? Fine. I was just getting started. The cafe windows rattled as thunder rolled overhead. I stood behind my counter, watching Emily through the rain-streaked glass. She wasn't alone. 4 men in suits, Zane murmured from beside me. Developer's muscle, probably. Probably. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. You should go. Like hell. The door chimed. Emily entered first, rain darkening her designer blazer. The men filed in behind her, expensive suits, blank expressions. One carried a briefcase. Closing time, I called out. We're done for the day. Oh, we're just getting started. Emily's smile was razor sharp. The developer's lawyers have some papers for you to sign. Not interested. This isn't a negotiation, Lauren. She nodded to briefcase man, who began spreading documents across my favorite corner table. Your debt restructuring fell through. Funny how quickly banks change their minds when certain irregularities come to light. My hands clenched on the counter. Matthew, of course, his final betrayal. Sign now, Emily continued, and you might salvage enough to start over. Refuse? She shrugged. Well, bankruptcy's such an ugly process. Lightning flashed, casting harsh shadows across her face. In that moment, I barely recognized the woman who'd once been my best friend. You know what's funny? I moved around the counter slowly. I spent days plotting revenge, planning how to hurt you like you hurt me. But standing here now, I gestured around the cafe, my cafe, with its mismatched mugs and worn wooden tables. I just feel sorry for you. Emily's smile faltered. Excuse me? You've never built anything real, never created something from nothing, poured your soul into it, watched it grow. I traced my fingers along a table's edge, remembering countless mornings of coffee and dreams shared here. You only know how to take. I know how to survive, she snapped, something you never learned. No? I reached under the counter, pulled out a thick folder. These are letters from customers, neighbors, other business owners, people pledging support, investments, time. While you were plotting to destroy this place, I was building an army to save it. Cute, but sentiment doesn't pay bills. No, but community investment does. I met her eyes. The cafe's going co-op. 51% owned by the neighborhood, 49% mine. Papers were filed this morning. The color drained from Emily's face. You're lying. Check your phone. The press release should be hitting right about now. On cue, her phone buzzed. She grabbed it, fingers shaking slightly as she read. The suited men shifted uncomfortably. This changes nothing, she said, but her voice wavered. The developer can't touch a community-owned business without public hearings, months of red tape, bad publicity. Zane stepped forward, arms crossed. Really bad publicity, once those recordings of your conspiracy go public. You wouldn't. Try me. I moved closer, close enough to smell her expensive perfume. You taught me well, Em. Sometimes you have to be willing to burn it all down. Thunder crashed again. In the silence that followed, I heard her breathing quicken. I could fight this, she whispered. You could, but you won't. I softened my voice, Because deep down, under all the schemes and betrayals, some part of you remembers who we used to be, what this place meant to both of us. Tears welled in her eyes. Lauren, go home, Emily. It's over. She stared at me for a long moment, something like regret flickering across her face. Then she turned to the suited men. We're done here. They filed out silently, taking their threatening papers with them. Emily paused at the door, rain drumming against the glass behind her. I really did love this place once, she said softly. I know. That's what made it hurt so much. After they left, Zane let out a long breath. Holy shit, you actually did it. We did it. I sagged against the counter, adrenaline draining away. I couldn't have pulled this off without you. Please, this was all you. He bumped my shoulder gently. The Lauren I first met would never have thought of a co-op solution. The Lauren you first met was naive. The Lauren I'm looking at now is unstoppable. Outside, the storm was breaking up, hints of sunset peeking through clouds. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, restructuring, renovations, rebuilding trust. But for now, standing in my cafe with the taste of victory sweet on my tongue, I felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks. Peace. I started making coffee. 2 cappuccinos, extra shots. Some traditions were worth keeping. Some dreams were worth fighting for. The morning rush flowed around me like a river, familiar and strange all at once. Every surface gleamed, fresh paint brightening the walls while keeping their character. The new espresso machine hummed efficiently beside my old faithful one. Progress and tradition, side by side. 2 oat milk lattes for Sarah, Desiree called out, her voice carrying over the buzz of conversation. I watched Sarah, a regular since our first week, grab her drinks from the pickup counter. She paused, taking in the subtle changes. Local art on the walls, the expanded seating area, the community board filled with neighborhood events. It feels the same, she said, catching my eye. But better somehow? That's the idea. The bell chimed. Zane walked in, carrying a box that smelled of freshly baked sourdough. Our weekly bread exchange, his artisanal loaves for my cold brew concentrate, had survived the chaos, evolved into something stronger. Packed house, he noted, sliding the box onto the counter. Always is now. I poured him his usual cappuccino. Funny how community ownership makes people feel invested. Funny how having the right person in charge makes that possible. Heat crept into my cheeks. Before I could respond, Desiree appeared at my elbow. Speaking of being in charge, she handed me an envelope. This came by courier. My name was written in familiar handwriting, Emily's. You don't have to open it, Desiree said quietly. But I did. Some doors needed proper closing. Inside was a single page, a letter of resignation from her position at the development firm, copied to me. And a note. You were right about building things, about creating instead of taking. I'm starting over somewhere new, not asking forgiveness, just wanted you to know. P.S. Check the storage room's loose floorboard. Left something there years ago you should have. Everything okay? Zane asked. Yeah. I tucked the letter away. Watch the front for a minute. The storage room smelled of coffee beans and possibility. I found the loose board easily. How had I never noticed it before? Underneath lay a small notebook, its pages yellow with age. Our original business plan. Emily's neat handwriting alongside my messy scrawls, dreams sketched out in coffee-stained margins. And tucked inside, a photo, 2 college girls raising champagne glasses, eyes bright with possibility. Found this too. Desiree's voice made me jump. She held up a stack of papers, bank statements, transfer records, hidden behind the cleaning supplies. Everything we needed to prove what she and Matthew did. She left us ammunition, I realized. Insurance in case her plan failed. or proof she wasn't completely lost. Desiree sat beside me. What are you going to do with it? I looked at the evidence of betrayal, then at the notebook full of shared dreams. Both felt like artifacts from another life. I stood, carrying everything to the industrial sink. The water ran clear and cold as pages dissolved, ink bleeding away, old wounds washing clean. When I returned to the front, the morning rush was easing. Zane had jumped in to help, moving behind the counter like he belonged there. In a way, he did. We all did. Every person who'd chosen to invest in this place, to fight for it, to make it stronger. Hey, he caught my hand as I passed. You good? Better than good. I squeezed his fingers, then let go. Orders needed making. Coffee needed brewing. Life moved forward. I know who I am now. The cafe hummed with energy. Regulars chatting with new faces. Local artists discussing their next showcase. Baristas calling out drinks like poetry. My dream, transformed but not broken. Stronger for being shared. I pulled a perfect shot of espresso, watching the crema swirl like possibilities. The bittersweet scent rose up, familiar as breathing. Some people spend their lives taking things apart. Others learn to build something beautiful from the pieces. I chose to build. The morning sun streamed through our windows, catching on the new sign we'd hung yesterday. Below the cafe's name, smaller letters spelled out our promise to the community. Built together, growing stronger. I smiled, reaching for another cup. There were drinks to make, stories to hear, moments to create. This was just the beginning.
The lavender and baby powder hit me like a slap as I arrange pristine gift bags in Eleanor's nursery. Each perfectly coordinated decoration mocks me. I spent weeks getting every detail right for her shower, while she spent months getting every detail wrong in our friendship. I shouldn't have come early to help set up. But old habits die hard, even when you discover your best friend has been systematically destroying your life. Sienna, darling, the fruit platter goes by the window. Eleanor's voice drips honey-sweet poison as she waddles in, hand resting on her bump. The lighting is better there for photos. I smile and nod, like I have for 15 years of friendship. Like I did last week when I overheard her telling Reese that I'm sweet but simple. Like I did yesterday when I found the emails. Of course, I say, lifting the platter. Wouldn't want your perfect day spoiled by poorly lit strawberries. She doesn't catch my tone. She never does. Eleanor lives in a world where she's the star and the rest of us are merely supporting characters, expected to worship her glow. The doorbell chimes and guests start arriving, a parade of designer sundresses and perfectly highlighted hair. I play my role, the devoted best friend, passing out champagne flutes of sparkling cider, laughing at all the right moments. Speech time. Reese announces after the gifts are opened. My stomach clenches. I know it's coming. Eleanor stands, radiant in her blush pink maternity dress. Before we continue celebrating this precious life, I have to share some amazing news about our dear Sienna. The room turns to me. Dozens of mascara-rimmed eyes, all knowing what I only learned yesterday. My cheeks burn, but I keep my expression neutral, waiting. She's finally found love. After years of... Eleanor pauses delicately. Struggling in that department, she's dating the most wonderful man. Everyone, raise your glasses to Sienna and Xander. The room erupts in cheers and congratulations. No one notices how my hands shake as I lift my glass. No one except Reese, who watches me with a hint of guilt in her eyes. They don't know that Xander was Eleanor's ex. They don't know she dated him for 3 years before declaring him too ambitious and dumping him last summer. They definitely don't know that she's been trying to sabotage our relationship since we started dating 2 months ago. But I know. I know because I found the emails where she told him I was emotionally unstable and desperate for marriage. Where she warned him I had a history of stalking ex-boyfriends. A complete lie. Where she suggested he was just my rebound and she'd take him back when she was ready to prioritize love again. Tell us how you met, someone calls out. Eleanor's smile widens. Oh, it was the sweetest thing, she gushes before I can speak. I actually introduced them. Xander and I have stayed such good friends, and I just knew he and Sienna would be perfect together. She needed someone stable, you know? The room awes appreciatively. I grip my glass harder, imagining it shattering. Imagining Eleanor's perfectly curated world shattering just like it. Actually, I hear myself say, standing up. The words rise like bile in my throat. That's not quite how it happened. Eleanor's smile freezes. A current of tension ripples through the room. Sienna, she says softly, warning in her voice. Don't spoil the mood. I wouldn't dream of it, I reply, matching her tone. I just think since we're celebrating truth and new beginnings, we should be honest about how things really happened. Reese steps forward, hand outstretched. Maybe we should cut the cake. No. My voice is stronger now. I think everyone would love to hear about how you really introduced us. About all the warnings you sent him. About how you've been trying to break us up because you can't stand seeing him happy with someone else. The room goes silent. Eleanor's face drains of color, then flushes red. You're making a scene, she hisses. This is my baby shower. Yes, it is. I set down my glass carefully. And I wouldn't want to ruin your perfect day with the truth. That would be as tasteless as, say, using someone's baby shower to humiliate them. I turn to leave, but pause at the door. Oh, and Eleanor, check your email. I forwarded everything to the entire guest list about 10 minutes ago. Consider it my baby shower gift, a lesson in consequences. As I walk out, phones start chiming throughout the room. Eleanor's scream of rage follows me down the hallway, and for the first time in 15 years, I feel truly, intoxicatingly free. Rain pelts my apartment windows, matching the storm in my chest. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing since I left the shower. Mostly shocked messages from guests, a few angry ones from Eleanor's inner circle. I've blocked them all except Xander. His latest text glows on my screen. We need to talk, coming over. Part of me wants to tell him not to bother. The other part needs to see his face, to know if I've destroyed everything by exposing Eleanor's lies. My hands shake as I make coffee, the familiar ritual doing nothing to calm my nerves. 3 sharp knocks. I open the door to find him soaked from the rain, his dark hair plastered to his forehead. His expression is unreadable. You could have warned me, he says, stepping inside. Would you have approved? No. He runs a hand through his wet hair. But I would have been prepared for the 30 voicemails from Eleanor claiming I put you up to this. My stomach drops. What did you tell her? Nothing yet. He moves to the kitchen, grabbing the mug I've already prepared for him. 2 sugars, splash of cream. Exactly how Eleanor used to make it for him. The thought makes me nauseous. She's lying about everything, I say. About us, about me. I know. His voice is gentle. I've known for weeks. Eleanor sent me those emails right after we started dating. I just didn't tell you because... He hesitates. Because what? Because I was afraid you'd run. That knowing how much she was trying to sabotage us would make you question everything. Make you wonder if I was just using you to get back at her. The truth hits like a physical blow. Are you? Sienna. He sets down his mug and crosses to me. I fell for you because you're nothing like her. You're real, genuine. When you laugh, it's because something's actually funny, not because you're calculating how it makes you look. My phone buzzes again. Eleanor's name flashes on the screen, along with a preview of her message. You've ruined everything. I hope you're I silence it, but not before Xander sees. His jaw tightens. She's always been like this, he says quietly. Even when we were together. Anyone who threatened her spotlight became a target. I watched her destroy friendships, careers, relationships, all while maintaining that perfect, caring image. Why did you stay with her so long? Same reason you stayed friends with her. She makes you feel special when she chooses you, until she doesn't. A knock at the door makes us both jump. Through the peephole, I see Reese, her makeup smeared from crying. Don't, Xander warns. but I open the door anyway. Reese bursts in, words tumbling out. Eleanor's being admitted to the hospital. She started having contractions after you left. The doctors say it's probably just stress, but... She breaks off, glaring at me. Are you happy now? Was revenge worth risking my sister's baby? Guilt crashes over me. I never meant... Save it. Reese's voice cracks. You know what the worst part is? She trusted you. Even after everything with Xander, she still defended you to everyone. Said you were family. Family? I laugh bitterly. Family doesn't try to destroy someone's chance at happiness. Family doesn't spread lies about mental illness and stalking. Family doesn't... She was protecting you, Reese shouts. God, you're so blind. She knew Xander would break your heart like he broke hers. She was trying to save you from making her mistakes. Xander steps forward. That's not what happened, and you know it. Really? Reese's eyes narrow. So you didn't tell Eleanor you loved her last month? Didn't say you made a mistake leaving? The world stops. I turn to Xander, searching his face for denial. Finding none. When? My voice sounds distant, hollow. It wasn't like that. He starts. She called me late one night, crying about the pregnancy, saying she missed us. When? He closes his eyes. The night before our first date. The pieces click into place. Eleanor's sudden interest in my love life, her careful orchestration of our chance meeting, her desperate attempts to break us up. She wasn't just being controlling. She was trying to stop history from repeating itself. Get out, I whisper. Both of you. Sienna, please, get out. They leave. The door clicks shut. Rain continues hammering against the windows as I sink to the floor, wondering if I've become exactly what Eleanor always said I was. Unstable, desperate, alone. My phone buzzes one final time. A message from Freya. Whatever you're thinking right now, don't. Come over. I'll open wine. We'll figure this out. I stare at the message for a long moment, then grab my keys. I've lost my best friend and possibly my boyfriend today. I'm not losing anyone else to Eleanor's games. Freya's apartment smells like red wine and sympathy. She's already poured 2 glasses and arranged a fortress of throw pillows on her couch, our usual crisis setup since college. Start from the beginning, she says, handing me a glass. The real beginning. I take a long sip. I thought the beginning was finding those emails. But now, I trail off, remembering Xander's confession. Maybe I'm just as manipulative as Eleanor. Maybe I'm exactly what she thinks I am. Stop. Freya's voice is sharp. That's Eleanor in your head. Tell me what you want right now without thinking about what anyone else wants. I want... The words stick in my throat. I want to stop feeling like a supporting character in my own life. My phone buzzes. Another message from Xander. Please let me explain. Meet me for coffee? Freya reads it over my shoulder. Are you going? I don't know. I curl deeper into the pillows. Part of me wants to hear his explanation. Part of me is afraid I'll believe whatever he tells me. Then don't go alone. She tops off my wine. I'll come with you. Be your bullshit detector. I consider this. Eleanor's still in the hospital. If I meet him now, everyone will say I'm heartless. Everyone's already talking. Might as well give them something real to talk about. She's right. I text Xander back. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., usual place, bringing Freya. His response is immediate. Fair enough. The next morning, I'm picking at a muffin while Freya guards our table like a sentinel. When Xander walks in, he's not alone. Hamza, our coworker from the marketing department, is with him. Hope you don't mind, Xander says, sliding into the seat across from me. Hamza's been helping me sort through some things. Hamza gives me a small nod. We've never been close, but he's always been kind. The type to remember everyone's coffee order and birthday. Eleanor's being released today. Xander starts. The baby's fine, but... I didn't come here to talk about Eleanor. I cut him off. No, you need to hear this. Hamza leans forward. Eleanor's been playing a longer game than you realize. She didn't just try to sabotage your relationship with Xander. She's been undermining you at work for months. My coffee turns bitter in my mouth. What? Those client complaints that got you passed over for the promotion? Eleanor's friends. The rumor about you missing deadlines? Eleanor, she's been systematically cutting off your opportunities while positioning herself as your biggest supporter. How do you know this? Because she tried to recruit me to help. Hamza's expression is grim. Said you were unstable, that she was protecting the company by keeping you in a manageable position. The world tilts sideways. All those missed opportunities, the subtle hints from management about reliability issues, the way Eleanor always seemed to know about my career setbacks before I did. Why are you telling me this now? I ask Xander. Because I was an idiot. He runs a hand through his hair. That night Eleanor called me. She was laying groundwork. She knew I was interested in you, knew we'd been flirting at office events. She played me, got me to admit I still had feelings for her, then used it to make me look untrustworthy when we started dating. And you fell for it? Freya says coldly. I did. But not anymore. He pulls out his phone, shows me texts from Eleanor, dozens of them, alternating between threats and pleas. She's been trying to convince me you're having a breakdown, that we need to help you by getting you transferred to the satellite office. My hands shake as I read the messages. Each one is perfectly crafted to sound concerned while painting me as increasingly unstable. I have a meeting with HR tomorrow. Hamza says quietly, I'm reporting everything, but they'll need your statement too. The magnitude of what he's offering hits me. Going against Eleanor means risking his own position, his reputation. Why would you help me? Because 2 years ago, Eleanor did the same thing to my sister. By the time we realized what was happening, it was too late. She'd already changed departments, lost confidence. She still hasn't fully recovered. Freya squeezes my hand under the table. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about every time Eleanor helped me by suggesting I wasn't ready for advancement. Every time she introduced me as her sweet but simple friend. Every opportunity that mysteriously evaporated. I'm thinking, I say slowly, that Eleanor is not the only one who knows how to play the long game. Sienna. Freya's voice holds a warning. No. I sit straighter. She wants to paint me as unstable? Fine. Let's show everyone exactly who's been manipulating whom. Xander and Hamza exchange glances. What's your plan? First, we gather evidence. Then, I smile, feeling something shift inside me. Then we give Eleanor exactly what she wants. A very public breakdown. Just not the one she's expecting. The HR office feels too small, too warm. I smooth my skirt for the 10th time while Sarah from HR reviews the evidence we've gathered. Emails, texts, timestamps of coincidental client complaints. My hands are steady, but my heart hammers against my ribs. This is comprehensive, Sarah says finally. But you understand making these allegations against Eleanor, especially while she's on medical leave after a pregnancy complication. I understand perfectly. My voice comes out calmer than I feel. I also understand that workplace harassment doesn't become acceptable just because the perpetrator is pregnant. Sarah nods slowly, shuffling papers. Ms. Shelton has an exemplary record with us. These claims seem out of character. Of course they do. Eleanor's spent years crafting her image, building a fortress of plausible deniability. I'm about to respond when there's a knock at the door. Hamza enters, carrying a folder. Sorry to interrupt, but I have something relevant to this discussion. He spreads out printed screenshots, conversations between Eleanor and various team members, each one subtly undermining me while maintaining her supportive facade. The timestamps span months. Sarah's expression shifts as she reads. This pattern of behavior goes beyond normal office politics, Hamza finishes, and I'm willing to testify about her attempted recruitment of me into these activities. After the meeting, Hamza walks me to my desk. You okay? I don't know. I sink into my chair. Part of me feels like I'm overreacting, Like maybe I'm seeing conspiracy where there's just life. That's exactly what she wants you to think. He perches on the edge of my desk. It's how she operates. Death by 1,000 cuts, each one small enough to doubt. My phone buzzes. A text from Sage, another colleague. Eleanor's back. Lunchroom. Crying about how worried she is about you. Of course she is. My fingers tighten around the phone. Don't, Hamza warns. That's what she wants. A confrontation she can spin. He's right, but knowing doesn't make it easier. I spend the afternoon fielding concerned looks and whispered conversations that stop when I approach. Eleanor's performance is working. I can feel the narrative shifting. See people wondering if I really am having some kind of breakdown. By evening, I'm exhausted. I pack up quickly, hoping to avoid another sympathetic intervention, but Freya's waiting by my car. We need to talk, she says. I'm tired, Freya. I know, but you need to hear this. She takes a deep breath. I found something about Eleanor, about why she's really doing this. My keys dig into my palm. What? Remember that charity gala last year? The one where you gave that speech about workplace mentorship? I nod. It had been a small triumph, my first time presenting to the board. Eleanor was supposed to give that speech. She'd been preparing for months, but at the last minute, she got food poisoning. I finish. She asked me to step in. No. Freya's voice is soft. She didn't get sick. She was passed over. The board chose you specifically, said they wanted a fresh perspective. Eleanor found out the day before, but played it like she was doing you a favor. The memory shifts, takes on new meaning. Eleanor's tight smile as she called to ask for my help. The way she emphasized to everyone that she'd given me this opportunity. How do you know this? Because I was dating Marcus from the board then. He told me everything. Freya touches my arm. That's when it started. The complaints, the rumors. She couldn't stand that they'd seen something in you she hadn't cultivated. My throat tightens. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? Back then, Eleanor was your hero, your mentor. I tried to warn you subtly, but I didn't want to see it. The truth settles like lead in my stomach. I wanted so badly to believe she actually cared about me. She did care. That's what makes it worse. You were her project, her protege, until you outgrew her plan for you. My phone buzzes again. Another message from Eleanor. I'm so worried about you. Please let me help, like I always have. Something hardens in my chest. You know what? She's right. She has always helped me. Helped me doubt myself, helped me stay small, helped me believe I needed her approval. Sienna? No. I straighten up. It's time to help her back. Show her exactly how well she taught me. What are you going to do? I smile, thinking of Eleanor's perfectly orchestrated concern, her carefully curated image. I'm going to give her exactly what she wants, a chance to be the hero. One last time. The plan crystallizes in my mind, beautiful in its simplicity. Eleanor wants to save me? Fine. Let's see how she handles it when her rescue attempt becomes her reckoning. The office kitchen feels like a stage, and I'm about to give the performance of my life. My hands tremble slightly as I pour coffee, letting a few drops splash onto my sleeve. Eleanor watches from her carefully chosen position by the door, close enough to intervene, far enough to maintain plausible deniability. Right on cue, Reese appears. Sienna, can we talk? I drop the mug. It shatters, coffee and ceramic spreading across the floor. I can't do this right now. Hey, it's okay. Reese steps closer, phone angled just right to capture my breakdown. Eleanor taught her well. We're all worried about you. Worried? I laugh, the sound sharp and brittle. Like you were worried when you helped Eleanor spread rumors about me stalking ex-boyfriends? Or when you backed her lies about my work performance? Reese pales. That's not... We were trying to protect you. Protect me? My voice rises. Other employees pause in the hallway, drawn by the commotion. Perfect. By destroying my reputation? By sabotaging my career? Sienna. Eleanor glides forward, concern radiating from every perfect pore. You're not well. Let us help you. Like you helped your last protege? The words hit their mark. Eleanor freezes. Oh yes, Hamza told me about his sister. Did you help her too? Guide her career right into the ground? That was different, Eleanor says softly. She was unstable. Like me? I step closer. Tell me, how many other women have you helped? How many careers have you shaped through careful manipulation and concerned whispers? The growing audience shifts uncomfortably. Eleanor's mask slips for just a second, showing something ugly beneath. You're proving my point, she says, voice honeyed with false sympathy. This paranoid behavior, these accusations, this isn't you, sweetie. Actually, it is me. Finally. I pull out my phone, start playing a recording. Eleanor's voice fills the kitchen. Just keep pushing the unstable angle. Once she breaks down publicly, we can push for a transfer. It's for her own good. The color drains from Eleanor's face. Where did you get that? From Xander. He's been recording your calls for weeks. Turns out he learned something from dating you after all. Always keep receipts. Reese steps between us. Stop this. Eleanor's pregnant. She doesn't need what? Consequences? I turn to the gathered crowd. Did you know Eleanor's been orchestrating workplace harassment campaigns for years? That she builds women up just to tear them down when they start to succeed on their own? That's enough. Eleanor's composure cracks. You ungrateful little... Ms. Shelton. Sarah from HR appears in the doorway. My office. Now. Eleanor straightens, smooths her dress. Of course. I'd be happy to discuss Sienna's concerning behavior. Not about her. Sarah's voice is ice. About the multiple complaints we've received regarding your systematic harassment of colleagues, including documented evidence. The audience murmurs. Eleanor's perfect mask shatters completely. You planned this, she hisses at me. You manipulative, I learned from the best. I meet her eyes. You taught me everything I know about destroying someone while looking innocent. Consider this my final exam. She lunges forward, but Hamza appears, catching her arm. Don't make this worse, Eleanor. As security escorts Eleanor away, Freya touches my shoulder. You okay? No. My hands shake as the adrenaline fades. I just destroyed someone's career. Someone who's about to have a baby. She destroyed herself, Freya says firmly. You just exposed it. But watching Eleanor's retreating back, I'm not so sure. The line between justice and revenge feels suddenly blurry. I think of all the times Eleanor justified her actions as helping. Wonder if I'm any different. My phone buzzes. An email from Eleanor's personal account. Congratulations, you've won. But ask yourself, when did you become exactly what you hated about me? The words hit harder than they should. In the reflection of my phone screen, I catch a glimpse of my expression. Triumphant, calculating, satisfied. Eleanor's expression mirrored on my face. What have I done? I whisper. What you had to, Hamza says quietly. The question is, what are you going to do now? I look around at my watching colleagues, see the same uncertainty I feel. Have I stopped a bully or become one? Exposed the truth or just created a new version of it? The answer comes in another email notification from Eleanor's lawyer. The game isn't over. It's just moving to a bigger stage. The legal letter sits heavy in my hands, its threats wrapped in professional courtesy. Defamation, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Eleanor's lawyer has been busy. She's claiming your actions caused pregnancy complications, Freya says, reading over my shoulder. That's low, even for her. It's smart. I set down the letter. Makes me look like a monster for attacking a vulnerable pregnant woman. Doesn't matter that she started this. She's controlling the narrative again. My phone lights up with a text from Xander. Eleanor's sister just called. We need to talk. Now. 20 minutes later, I'm in Xander's apartment, staring at Reese's tearful face on his laptop screen. I can't do this anymore, she says. Eleanor's... She's not well. The things she's saying, the plans she's making. What plans? She's going to claim the stress made her lose the baby. My blood runs cold. But the baby's fine. The doctor said, the baby is fine. That's the point. Reese wipes her eyes. She's going to fake a miscarriage. Pin it on you. She's already talking to tabloid journalists, setting up interviews. Jesus. Xander runs a hand through his hair. She's really lost it. She's desperate, I say. I backed her into a corner and now... This isn't your fault, Freya interrupts firmly. Eleanor's choices are her own. But aren't they also mine? Every move I made, every trap I set, I knew exactly how she'd react. I played her like she played me, used her own patterns against her. My phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. Coffee? I have information you need. Psych. I remember Saiga's quiet presence at office meetings, how she always seemed to fade into the background. Perfect for observing unnoticed. I have to go, I tell the others. Maybe there's still a way to end this before it gets worse. The cafe is quiet when I arrive. Saiga sits in a corner booth, fingers nervously tapping her cup. Thanks for coming, she says as I slide in across from her. I've been wanting to tell you something for months, but Eleanor? She has a way of making simple things seem impossible. I know exactly what you mean. Sage pulls out her phone, opens a video. Eleanor appears on screen, sitting in what looks like a restaurant. The timestamp shows 3 months ago. I recorded this when I was having lunch at the next table. Sage explains. Listen, Eleanor's voice comes through clearly. Perfect setup. Board wants fresh blood? Fine. Let Sienna have her moment. She'll crash and burn spectacularly, and when she does, she laughs. Well, who do you think they'll turn to then? The steady hand, the voice of reason. My stomach turns. She planned this from the beginning. The gala speech wasn't just the trigger. It was part of her strategy. Keep watching. The video continues. Eleanor outlines every step. The manufactured complaints, the strategic support, the carefully timed revelations. All leading to an inevitable public breakdown that would cement her position and destroy mine. Why show me this now? Saga's hands tremble slightly. Because she did the same thing to me at my last job. I changed companies, changed my name. But seeing her do it again? She takes a shaky breath. I thought if I stayed quiet, stayed invisible, she'd leave me alone. But that's what she wants, isn't it? For all of us to stay small? My phone buzzes again. Another email from Eleanor's lawyer. More threats, more demands. But something's shifted inside me. Thank you, I tell Saj. For not staying invisible. Outside, rain begins to fall. I call Freya. Eleanor's not just fighting back, I say when she answers. She's following a script, one she's used before. What are you thinking? I'm thinking it's time to go off script. I watch raindrops race down the cafe window. She expects me to fight the legal threats, to defend myself publicly, to play the game her way. And instead, I'm going to tell the truth. All of it, including my part in it. My voice steadies. No more strategic moves, no more perfect timing, just the whole messy reality. Sienna. Freya hesitates. That could cost you everything. Your job, your reputation. Maybe, but staying silent will cost more. I think of Saig, of Hamza's sister, of all the others Eleanor's silenced. Sometimes the only way to break a pattern is to break yourself open first. My phone buzzes one final time. Eleanor. Last chance, back down now or I destroy everything you care about. I smile, feeling strangely calm. Game on, I text back. But this time, we're playing by my rules. The company town hall feels like a powder keg. Hundreds of employees fill the auditorium, all here for Eleanor's carefully orchestrated performance. She stands at the podium, the picture of dignified suffering in a loose black dress that emphasizes her pregnancy. "I've always believed in nurturing talent," she says, voice trembling perfectly, "in supporting those who needed guidance. That's why it breaks my heart to address the recent events." I sit in the back row between Freya and Hamza, my laptop open and ready. Eleanor's lawyer hovers near the stage, shooting me warning glances. "What if this makes everything worse?" I whisper to Freya. "It will," she replies, "before it gets better." Eleanor continues, each word calculated for maximum impact. "When someone you've mentored, someone you've trusted, turns on you during your most vulnerable time." She dabs at her eyes. "The stress has already affected my pregnancy." My finger hovers over the enter key. One press and the email goes to every employee, every board member, every client contact in our database. The whole truth, including my own manipulation, my calculated revenge. Eleanor's voice cracks beautifully. "I only pray my baby survives this ordeal." "Now," Hamza whispers. I press enter. Phones start buzzing throughout the auditorium. Eleanor falters as hundreds of screens light up simultaneously. Her eyes find mine in the crowd, widen in recognition. I stand. I have something to add. "This is not the appropriate time." Her lawyer interjects. "Actually, it's exactly the right time." I move to the center aisle. While everyone's reading about how Eleanor systematically destroyed careers, including evidence from her previous victims, I want to confess my own part in this. Eleanor grips the podium. "Security, please remove." "I became exactly what I hated about you," I continue, voice carrying clearly. "I manipulated. I calculated. I played everyone's emotions like you taught me to do." Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Eleanor's lawyer steps forward, but Hamza blocks his path. The difference is, I'm not hiding behind a carefully crafted image anymore. I meet Eleanor's gaze. I'm not pretending my actions were for anyone's good but my own. "You're proving my point about your instability," Eleanor says smoothly, but her hands shake. "No, I'm proving that your greatest fear isn't losing control. It's being seen. Really seen." I pull out my phone, start playing Saja's video. Eleanor's own voice fills the auditorium, laying out her manipulation strategy. Color drains from her face. "That's doctored." "Then how about this?" Another recording plays. Eleanor discussing her fake miscarriage plan with her lawyer. Funny how people talk when they realize you're sinking. The lawyer backs away from Eleanor, face ashen. The crowd's murmurs turn angry. "You don't understand," Eleanor says, mask cracking. "None of you understand what it takes to succeed in this world. The constant competition, the need to protect yourself. By destroying others before they can threaten you?" I climb the stage steps. "By making sure no one else's light can outshine yours?" "Yes," she screams, composure shattering completely. "Because the moment you show weakness, the moment you let someone else rise, they take everything." Silence falls. Eleanor's hands clutch her stomach, real panic replacing performative vulnerability. "I could have been your ally," I say quietly. "We all could have been, but you chose to make us enemies instead." "Get out," she whispers. "No." I face the crowd. I'm done hiding, done playing games. I helped create this toxic environment by participating in it. By letting fear of Eleanor's retaliation silence me. That ends today. Security appears, but they move toward Eleanor, not me. The board chairman stands in the front row, face grave. "Ms. Shelton, please come with us." Eleanor straightens, dignity reassembling like armor. "This isn't over." Actually, it is. I feel strangely light. Because I'm not playing anymore. No more strategic moves, no more perfect timing. Just truth. Messy and complicated and real. As security escorts Eleanor out, Freya appears at my side. "You okay?" "No." I watch Eleanor's retreating back. "But I will be. We all will be. My phone buzzes one last time. A message from Eleanor. You've become me. Hope you can live with that. I type back. No, I've become myself. Hope you find the courage to do the same. The auditorium slowly empties, leaving me alone on stage. Through the windows, sunlight breaks through clouds, illuminating dust motes in the air. For the first time in months, I take a deep, clean breath. The game is over. Now the real work begins. The nursery still smells like lavender and baby powder. Eleanor's daughter sleeps peacefully in her crib, tiny fingers curled around the edge of her blanket. I shouldn't be here, but Reese insisted. She needs to understand, Reese had said, that her mother's actions don't define her future. Now, watching this innocent child breathe, I wonder if Eleanor once stood over her own crib, equally pure, equally full of possibility. When did she learn to view every relationship as a competition? When did survival become more important than connection? She has your eyes. Eleanor's voice comes from behind me. She looks different in house arrest ankle monitor and casual clothes. Smaller somehow. Human. I'm not here to fight, I say. Then why are you here? Because running away from hard conversations is what got us here in the first place. Eleanor moves to the crib, adjusts the blanket with trembling hands. The board offered me a settlement. Full severance if I resign quietly. Admit to everything. Seek therapy. Are you going to take it? Would you? I meet her eyes in the soft nursery light. I think you know what running would cost you this time. She touches her daughter's cheek gently. I used to think power meant making people need you, making them smaller so you could feel bigger. Her voice cracks. Now I have this tiny person who actually does need me, and I'm terrified of making her feel the way I made others feel. That fear? I say quietly. That's the first step to breaking the pattern. Why are you really here, Sienna? To gloat? To forgive me? To make sure I'm suffering enough? I'm here because I need to know if it was all manipulation. Every moment of friendship, every laugh, every confidence shared, was any of it real? Eleanor's shoulders sag. All of it was real. That's what made it so effective. She turns to face me. I loved you like a sister. And I destroyed you like one too. The truth hits harder than any lie could have. You taught me everything you knew, including how to destroy you back. I did. A ghost of her old smile appears. You were always my best student. And my worst mistake was trying to graduate. The words come out bitter. No. Eleanor's voice strengthens. Your mistake was believing you needed my approval to succeed. My mistake was believing I needed to crush others to keep my own power. The baby stirs, makes a soft sound. We both freeze, watching her settle back to sleep. I got a job offer, I say finally. Running the creative department at a startup. Clean slate, fresh start. You'd be good at that. I know. The confidence in my voice surprises us both. I don't need you to tell me anymore. Eleanor nods slowly. I saved all your work, you know. Every project, every presentation, even after everything. I have a whole folder labeled Sienna's Growth. She laughs softly. Ironic, isn't it? I documented your rise while trying to orchestrate your fall. Send it to me, I say. Not because I need it, but because letting go of it might help you grow too. She studies me for a long moment. You really have become stronger than me. Not stronger, just more honest, with myself and others. I move toward the door, then pause. The therapy they recommended? Take it. Not for the board, not for your career, but for her. I nod toward the crib. Break the pattern before she learns it. Sienna? Eleanor calls as I reach the doorway. That startup? They're lucky to have you. I know. I say again, and this time it feels like freedom. Outside, Freya waits in her car. You okay? No. I buckle my seatbelt. But I'm done pretending to be. Where to? I think of Eleanor in that quiet nursery, of patterns waiting to be broken, of power that comes from lifting others instead of crushing them. Forward, I say. Just forward. As we drive away, my phone buzzes. A message from Eleanor. Growth? Sienna? Zip attached. I delete it without opening it. Some lessons are better learned firsthand. Some strength better found than given. The setting sun paints the sky in shades of possibility, and for the first time in forever, I'm ready to write my own story. Messy, authentic, and entirely mine.